out of apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
What's good? You Soon Apartment 5B podcast hosted by your man Kill. I got my squad with me in effect. As always, Portia's on strike again. I don't know why. I'm actually
You got the blue check and I'm on strike.
That's what it is. The blue check, now you're on strike. Alright, I got it. I feel you. Rel, nice little piece right there, good brother. What's going on?
What's up, y'all? What's up? Happy to be here as always.
All right, no doubt. We got my brother JR, who's the executive producer of Rel Trezvan's new R&B album produced by yours truly. Y'all executive producing? Y'all not executive producing this no more, JR?
Yes, he is.
Oh, God, you serious?
I'll start sending you the beats tonight,
JR, you are going to help me do this. You're going to help me. You're going to help me do this.
Nice.
Rel Trezvan. And my brother Vague out of BK. What's going on, good brother?
Wu-Tang forever.
Hey, man, I'm loving the show, man. I'm truly loving the show this season, man. It's real dope. I'm definitely enjoying the joint. But y'all know me. Let's jump right into it. Tonight we are talking about albums that disappointed you. You know what I mean? Now, again, we all know people have different definitions for the same word. So disappointment may mean different things to different people. To Cal, to me, was a disappointment. It wasn't whack. It just was a disappointment. You know what I mean? It didn't live up to what I thought it was. And then there are going to be some albums that are on here that's just whack. That's just what it is for me when I got them. So that's what we're looking at, hip-hop, R&B. Porsche, why don't you set us off, sis? What you got for us for your first album that I kind of believe I already know what it is, but let's see.
You probably do. I'm going to go hip-hop first. And I got Jadakiss's top 5 Dead or Alive. And I talk about this a lot on the show. I always bring it up. And I feel bad for you guys having to hear me say this over and over. But to me, I mean, people have asked me, like, what did you expect? Like a classic out of Jada? And I'm like, nah, I didn't expect a classic. But Jada to me is one of, shared spot with Method Man, best featured MC ever in the entirety of hip hop to me. And I just thought that Jada, and I actually really liked Jada's first couple albums. So I thought, he can give me another dope joint. Top 5 Dead or Alive was astronomically disappointing to me. It was just, I was skipping songs left, center, and right. I was like, when are we getting to the good part? Oh, it's over? Okay. I just couldn't skipping. And then I'm like, okay, there's got to be a dope joint on here. Okay, there isn't. Okay, the album's over. Okay, cool. This is going to be in the let's pretend this never happened pile. So for my first one, Jadakiss, top 5 Dead or Alive.
And what's one of your R&B joints?
Okay, one of my R&B joints is Joe, Better Days album. So
now here's the thing with Joe. You after school. Is this like first album, second?
No,
where is this?
This is his fourth album. This is his fourth album. So to me, Joe's first 3 were actually very dope. So he's got oh my god, right now I can't remember the name of them. But anyways, he's coming off a run of very, very solid joints. And I'm talking I love Lovey Dovey. You guys know me. This is Joe at his best. And then he comes with this album, and it is not, I don't know. It is just, it missed the mark for me. He had, the previous release was My Name is Joe, and that's the joint with Thank God I Found You and Stutter. So that is an incredible album, and then you got this joint. Not one memorable song. I was just very disappointed. For a dude who is so good at what he does and the songs that the ballads, like, yeah, he let me down.
So what do you think it was? What do you attribute the letdown to?
Oh man, honestly, I don't even know. I think it was direction. I think that he was trying to just do something completely different. He wanted to stay away from those mushy, I guess, kind of tracks, although it still is bag, but he just did it a different approach, and I think he just missed his mark. And I don't know why artists do this. Like, you have a lane, you're good at it, and then all of a sudden you go completely left, and then we're left with like, what the hell are you doing? And I don't want to box in artists, but sometimes I'm just like, Joe, you're just dope at being the dirty macker that we know you are. Like, just steal me from my relationship. Why do you have to do this? So, you know what it is.
Now here's the thing, Porsche. I gotta push back because we did a show about this. Aren't we essentially putting you in a box then? We want you to do the same thing because the thing that works, and it could be as an artist, as a creative, you could be like, I want to try something new, or it could be a label, we never know. But essentially, aren't we putting you in a box when we say just keep doing what you're good at? Like, don't try nothing new?
You know what, Kill, you're absolutely right. It is boxing in the artist. I say I don't like to box in artists because I know the creative process really is limitless, and artists can do whatever, any creative can do whatever they want with that ability and with their creations. However, I am a very particular, I'm a creature of habit. I love things that work. So for me, I kind of gravitate, like, you gotta do something like different really well for me to love it. Otherwise, I'm going to be like, nah, like, I wish you had just, done the other stuff. You know how it is.
Now, what about Kiss? What do you think was the disappointment? Like, what didn't he do right? Because I actually, on my list, I just got every Jadakiss album. I'm going to just throw them all in there for me. Because you got to keep in mind, Kiss to me is a 5-mic artist. Like, to me, he has the talent to make a 5-mic album every time out, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So when I got the Green Lantern mixtape, The Champ Is Here, I was so hype off that mixtape that I was like, yo, this album about to be crazy. Then the album came out, I was like, oh, damn. Like, I really thought I was getting 5 mics out of Kiss. So, again, to me, Kiss kind of falls in that method lane of it's a 3.5 album. It's not trash, but it's not, but you have the ability, to me, the same way we were talking about Meth, I would think. Or maybe, I don't know, Veg, does Jada fall in that same place where we were talking about Meth last week, where it's like you don't really have the all-around
I think so.
to do that?
I think so, because I think, like, because when we like artists that much, in a lot of ways, we don't really want to, and to me, that's going to be a running theme with this show, but we don't really want to believe that that's the case. We just feel like they haven't hit their mark. But the proof is in the pudding with Jadakiss that he's better as being part of a group, because holding down a whole album, we've seen that he can have songs here and there. And some of it could be, A&R and, knowing exactly how to put his albums together. But in most cases, that debut is probably the best of the best. And then every other album is, there's some crazy bangers, and then there's some head scratches on some of those albums.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's the only reason why I say that, because, like, I'm expecting, but I guess that is right. Like we were saying last week, Porsche. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, can everyone just go through, like, what did you think of top 5 Dead or Alive? Because I feel like every time I say something, people are like, Porsche, come on, man, it wasn't that bad. And I'm like, but it was. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Like, Meg, what did you think about it? Yeah, exactly. Meg is a spade.
I don't like
it.
No,
I didn't like it.
I never even listened to it.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like it.
I liked it. I thought there was definitely some skips on there for sure, more than I anticipated. But again, it was the same thing Jadakiss does, man. It's like one joint, you like, all right, this is it. Right. The next you're like, well, why is he rapping over this? And why he got OJ the Juice Man?
Yeah.
It is disappointing. I will say that because it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Top 5 Dead or Alive, right? You expect
come with it.
That title, you gotta show and prove with that title.
And I think it's the title too, because it's like, oh, this is the one. You know what I mean? I feel like we always have those MCs where we're like, oh, this is gonna be that album. Like this is that album. And it's usually the album when it's like Stillmatic or, you know, Cuban Links Part 2 or whatever the best album is, Part 2. This is the album where we like, oh, okay, this. Speaking of that, JR, I'm gonna write one down for you because I just thought about something. I need to hear your thoughts on that. But yeah, P, I can't really remember that. But for me, all his albums are disappointing just because I'm expecting 5 mics from him. But now I'm like thinking now, like, well, maybe Kiss really isn't that all around MC that can give you a 5 mic album, because even the last joint that just dropped, you know, that was disappointing to me. But then I know people was like, oh, he did that for his man who died, and these were songs he would have wanted on the album. So I don't know what it is. I think I've kind of just given up on Kiss. I like him on features. You know, I'll just keep watching the versus battle, and kind of just, I feel like that's gonna be his shining moment. Like that's his 5 mic album, is that versus battle. Like that's where, if there's a hip hop museum, it'll be like Jadakiss it'll be like a fucking running joint where he's doing a freestyle over Who Shot You or something like that. You know, I shot you. I can't. Who shot you? LL and Big always confuse me with that shit. All right, first joint I got up. I'm gonna go with the whole entire year of 1997. And the reason why I'm going with not the whole year, but 1997, 3 albums dropped that I thought were gonna be incredible. Mike Geronimo's sophomore album, Vendetta. The Smith & Wesson or the Cocoa Brothers sophomore album, Rude Awakening. And Jay-Z's sophomore album, In My Lifetime. And all 3 of them shits were disappointing to me.
Yeah.
The Rude Awakening was so bad. I had to listen to that this week for the first time in probably 20 years. I don't know if it was the name change to the Cocoa Brothers. Of course it was the Beat Miners, because the only 2 songs I like on there is Bucktown, USA and Spanish Harlem with Hurricane G, R.I.P. and Tony Touch, which of course are the 2 tracks the Beat Miners did. Vendetta, yo, that joint, Making Moves with Puff or whatever that shit was called, coming off, and if you know me, I love Mike Geronimo's debut album, The Natural. Oh god, it's one of my favorite albums from the 90s. Master I.C., Shit Is Real. I love that album, so I was disappointed with that. And In My Lifetime, I called a half and half album. Half the album is incredible. You got, you know, Streets Is Watching, Friend to Foe, 1,000,001 Questions, Where I'm From. And then the other half, you got The Goddamn City Is Mine, and I Know What Girls Like, and that shit with Foxy and Babyface. And yeah. So to me, those 3 albums, those were 3 of the most anticipated albums for me. And like I always tell Vega, in 97, I was living in Atlanta. So no, I'm no longer at strictly hip hop. I feel like I'm a civilian. I'm actually spending money on CDs now. Like I haven't spent money on CDs for the past 7 years. I'm spending the little bit of money I do have on CDs, and these 3 were just so heartbreaking to me. So these are 3 albums that were definitely a letdown for me. On the R&B tip, I'm going with Hoodie Mack, BBD's
that was a
album.
horrible ass fucking. Oh, sorry.
Okay, JR. JR's feeling nice tonight.
In the red cup.
JR is feeling nice tonight with the red cup. But yeah, Hoodie Mack, I mean, when you coming off of Poison with, you know, Do Me, I Thought It Was Me, the slow jams, the remixes, like that was just like, yo, that was just a crazy moment in time right there with BBD. Like they could not lose. They like were really the hottest people on the planet. And again, it was a phenomenon because nobody expected anything from them. JR, you are the R&B guru. Has there ever been a time when them other niggas were actually bigger than the niggas?
Right. Like you wasn't thinking about them 3 dudes getting what they got. Like you was like, you ain't think about them. So when they came out, it was like, oh shit. Like they
like
dope.
This is, and for people watching, it's literally like if the Pips and Gladys broke up and the Pips were bigger than Gladys. Like niggas like, oh, forget Gladys. We talking about these 3 niggas over here. We won't even know these niggas' names. But the Pips, man, that new remix to fucking Heard It Through the Grapevine is crazy, you know. So that's how crazy it was. Like, yo, Ralph Tresvant and Johnny is doing their thing, duly noted. But BBD, man, them dudes own the hip hop and the R&B world, like at that time. So when Hoodie Mack came out, I seen Above the Rim and I was like, it's all right. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, Above the, you didn't like that, JR, at all?
No, I did not.
Okay. I was like, what the fuck
is this? Like,
the video was hot. There's some hot clips in there.
Yeah, I thought the video was dope. You know what I mean? It's the summertime.
Okay, see, y'all giving it to the video. The video was dope.
Well, yeah, but then once we got to the album, I was like, okay, this is an example of niggas doing their own thing. Yo, Biv got 10 records with Boys to Men and all this. And Rick, that's one of those Wu-Tang things. Like, okay, we was all here for this album, but now that we blew up, we kind of, it's like, oh shit, we got to do another BBD album. All right, fine, fuck it, let's go. Like, it just didn't seem like they was in it whatsoever to want to do this album. So, yeah, so those are the first two I got right there. What's up, Beg?
What the fuck is a Hoodie Mack?
They said it was weed.
Oh, okay.
Right. They said that on they what was it, Unsung or whatever the fuck it was. They were saying that and they was like, we should have just put weed on the cover and been chronic. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't have did that either. Like, what the hell? No. Like, out of here. Like, no, come on, yo. Like,
that always got me. I was like, what is a Hoodie Mack?
Yeah. So it wasn't a good follow-up. One of the things I do want to look at, I'm trying to take notes on over here, how many of these albums are sophomore albums? Because I really do believe in that sophomore slump. You know what I mean? So all three of the albums I just named were all three hip hop was sophomore, and the BBD was a sophomore too. So I'm trying to just keep notes on like what exactly, how many sophomore slumps and stuff like that we got going on. Eddie, what's going on, good brother? You good?
Yeah, what's good, man? I'm good, bro.
All right, first day for baseball. I see you with your Mets, good brother. You see the Phillies over here, man. So we back to baseball wars. Rel, what you got up for your first hip hop joint, man? What's a disappointing joint?
This one hurts, man. I'm gonna go Immobilarity, man.
Oh, I got that one too. Nice.
Yo, man. Come on, links, man. And Immobilarity was so bad to me, bro. Like, I only like that I can remember one song, and that was Sneakers.
Sneakers, yep.
That song was fire. The rest of that, I was like, no, come on, Ray. Ray was like, after Cuban Links, Ray was like my favorite Wu member at the time. I was like, yo, this John is
Yo,
bad.
Let me tell you how bad it is. The joint ain't even on Apple. It ain't even streaming. Because I went to listen to it this week. Just because I haven't listened to these albums. I haven't listened to Immobilarity since that shit dropped. Like you said, outside Sneakers. So I was like, let me give it a listen this week, and it's at least not on Apple Music. I can tell you that. I don't know about nothing else. But, okay, well, it ain't on Apple Music. So I feel like that's Bill Duke and Menace Society. Like, nigga, you done fucked up, right? Like that nigga just said, it's on there. Mm-hmm. No, I just went through that shit, and I did not. That joint did not come up.
You didn't want to see it. That's what that was.
This is my word, man.
That was God.
It got the Vicinian mixtape volume 1 and 2. It got Cuban Links 1 and 2. Wu-Tang, the Wu Massacre, Shaolin versus Wu, Fly International in the Wild. Yeah, I don't know why, but neither here nor there. Yeah, you're right, Beg. I don't need that shit. Oh shit, it is at the bottom. Yep, it is. It is. It is all the way at the bottom. All right. Well, yeah, that's a rough joint. So, Ralph, what do you attribute it being so horrible to?
The production, direction of the song, like it just was a far cry from. Not that I'm saying, yo, go make Cuban Links again, right? But it was like, I don't know, it seemed experimental to me. Like, let me try this shit. And that shit ain't work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't listened to that John in so long. Like, and I just remember how disappointed I was when it came. I mean, you coming off of a classic, like, so this is like the real sophomore, like, that shit was terrible, bro. Like, terrible.
Horrible, man. Horrible. Anybody? I had Immobilarity. I mean, for the same reasons. No RZA. I feel like RZA was more than just the producer. It was kind of like the coach, like directions and where you should take things and everything like that. And I mean, here's the thing, man, and we're gonna have to give Pete Rock a lot of credit because Pete is gonna be the lone spark on a lot of these albums. On that Mike Geronimo joint, his joint Unstoppable, Pete did that. Pete did Sneakers Over Here, so he's coming in with that one Pete Rock track, Saving the Day. But I just don't know how the A&R, even as Ray, you listen to that whole album and then you hear Sneakers and you don't be like, damn, should we fuck with Pete a little more? Like, should we ask Pete for another beat? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, we just gonna dip with that. But I feel you got any R&B joints?
Yo, I got a couple, but I'm gonna hold on because I'm so nervous to say this one R&B because I don't want JR, like, for real, like,
no,
like I'm you know what I'm saying, I'm a real nigga, but I'm nervous about this one, so I'm gonna hold on to it.
Wow, man, no shit, man.
That nigga said, yo, NJR been drinking tonight too. That nigga may cut you. JR look like one of them niggas that keep a switchblade with him.
First of all, with y'all, it's nothing to it. So go ahead, what is it?
I'll say it.
Mary J. Blige, Growing Pains.
Oh no, now nigga, you wildin'.
I'm kidding. Now here's the thing, y'all. I get lost on titles. What's on Growing Pains? What was the first single? Was that
was
the
just
Toleration, Hateration?
No, that was just
fine. All right.
Yeah. It's like
after the Mary album, everything that came after that is just a blur to me. Like I don't really know what was on what or what was going which way.
I'm gonna let y'all live, but go ahead.
Yo, Vague, did you agree with me or you was?
He agreed, but me and Vague already had this conversation, so I don't want him to say nothing. So go ahead, Ral.
Yo, I don't like for real, like it's like underwhelming, like for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Mary fan, not probably like to your level, but like that shit was. I don't like that joint at all. And like I know people that love it, like, and it, you know what I'm saying, highly. Oh, see, and it was, you know, the reviews on it is positive, but I was like, yo, I can't fuck with this joint. Like I don't know if it was just the sound. Like who produced most of that joint?
It was Dream and Neo, and yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I don't think I was feeling. I wasn't feeling that direction.
Yeah, you just said it was bad.
Huh? Who?
Did you just say it was bad? You saying Dream and Neo, it was bad.
No, Dream and Neo and more. No, I ain't never say that was bad. That's
okay.
Top 4 Mary for me. So nah.
All right. I just ain't like that sound. It wasn't for me. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
That's fine. Yeah, I hated that shit. I remember that single. I hated that shit. But neither here nor there. JR, what you got up for your first R&B joint?
Oh, it was gonna be Mary, A Love and Life.
Oh, I have that one on my list.
I'm confused again. What single is this? What year is this?
Love at First Sight with her and Method Man.
Yeah.
Wasn't that supposed to be My Life Part 2?
No, you down, yeah, you further
he
down.
He was featured on that album too.
Oh, you talking about the joint? This is the reunion with him and Puff, right? With her.
Yes.
This is the joint with the hot sex with Method Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed in it. The hype of it all, just to go to show that Puff ain't no damn producer. Period. And when you see they did like a DVD for the shit, and it was like Mary, you could tell like she wasn't happy with the direction it was going, because right after then she came out with The Breakthrough.
Right.
And we see what that did, because she did what she wanted to do. Puff is such a fan of her, and he just forgot, like, vocally, you gotta do some shit when it comes to Mary, and he didn't do that. And then a lot of this, it was just the hype of it all that did it. But it's some songs on there that's cool, and I can rock with now, but Love and Life was very disappointing for me. I was like, nah, I'm good.
All right, no doubt. Veg, what you got up for your first joint, bro?
Might as well keep it going. Mary J. Blige. No more drama.
Turn him off.
Now that was a joke. Was that the joke with the guiding light or the Young and the Restless theme?
Y'all is doing
oh
too
God,
much
that
tonight.
joke.
We not
Now
gonna
here's the
say
thing.
how many
Now here's real quick, Rel. Your pick, was it disappointing? Like I said, like, was it a Tikal disappointed where it wasn't trash, but it wasn't the classic you thought? Or was you felt like your joint was trash?
No. Like quality, I can't say it wasn't trash. It wasn't what I wanted to hear. Like, it wasn't, I wasn't feeling like the direction of it, the beats, the feel of it, I wasn't feeling. It wasn't necessarily garbage. It wasn't garbage. It wasn't garbage. But it was disappointing to me.
All right. And then JR, with the joint you just named, Love and Life, was that just disappointing, or it was like, yo, like, was it, here's the thing, was it Tikal or was it Immobilarity? Immobilarity is like, yo, get that shit the fuck out of here. I don't even want to hear it. Tikal is like,
it wasn't that bad. No, but it was like, this is, y'all two got back together and did this. It was like, all right, this just shows y'all done got to work together again. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing, with that Love and Life, was Chucky involved? Because I feel like everybody thinks Puff getting back with Mary was going to give us My Life. Where it really wasn't Puff, it was Chucky that really gave us My Life. So did Chucky do stuff on that?
But think about what's the 411 though, because Puff didn't produce, quote unquote, he didn't produce too much. He was the A&R getting her this beat, this producer this. So Chucky wasn't on that. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
again, Puff didn't do anything. So again, we're getting excited about like this Pete Rock and CL Smooth reunion because Pete did the beats. With Mary and Puff didn't do none of the beats on the first album or the second album or the third album.
It was just them getting back together. You would think, okay, he's gonna get her with the right producer, and he got all the hitmen. Like he got Stevie J on there, and you know Mario Winans was on there, and all that. But it was just like, it was underwhelming for real. And Mary did what she wanted to do because she gave us the breakthrough, and we know how that went. So,
all right, and Vague, you're No More Drama. Is this a Immobilarity or is this a Tikal disappointment?
I think it's a Tikal disappointment. For me, it's like that when I don't like a Mary J. Blige album. It's more so I like a specific Mary J. Blige album, right? Like because look at the run, right? To me, what's the 411? My Life, Share My World, Mary. Like to me, I was like, oh, she's not dropping whack albums. I'm going to buy whatever the hell she puts out because I'm guaranteed to get this. And I felt like even with the pairing with Babyface, which, you know, before I heard the album with Share My World, I was like kind of shook. But then I was like, well, shit, this is dope. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like with Dre, I didn't really like that pairing because when you think about Mary with a club record, so to speak, right? Like Real Love or Be Happy, she's singing. But this joint is kind of like rappy singing. You know what I'm saying? Talking about that single. And then, you know, the joint with Ja Rule, Smile at Me. Like, come on, man. Like, I just was like, get these niggas off of her shit. And it was just a disappointment thing for me because it's similar to Growing Pains, which I felt the same way as well. It's just that you don't want to shoehorn Mary into a certain sound, but there's just a certain sound that works best with her. And Breakthrough was like the balance of that shit. It was everything we loved about Mary, and the new parts about her was like dope.
Now, which one was the breakthrough?
Be Without You.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be Without You.
Right.
You Can't Hide from Love.
Justice League was on there. Raphael was on there.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I see what you're saying. I think one of the things with Mary, I've always wondered, does she really even know what to do? Like, I felt like there are times when Mary's just trying to cling on whatever's hot. So it's like, yo, Dre's hot, I'm fucking with Dre. Or Ja Rule's hot, I'm fucking with Ja Rule. Like, instead of it being like, yo, I'm fucking Mary J. Blige. Like, nigga, I make the rules. I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do and y'all gonna follow me. I feel like she's like always with, like, who's hot right now type thing. You know what I mean? Because I didn't see the Dre pairing really happening because just like, but then again, it could be like how Guru was like, nah, I always wanted to fuck with Scarface. Like, maybe she always wanted to fuck with Dre or something like that.
And look, for anybody watching who doesn't know, the song was a hit.
Yeah.
Like, that's why
I don't even like the damn song, honestly. I don't like it at all.
The joint was hitting, so.
She did it because nobody liked the Mary album. So she went back to that.
Which is crazy because the Mary album is
the Mary album is the shit. Like, us music heads get it, but the mainstream didn't get it, and we all know Mary loves to be loved, and if she ain't loved, then she feels some type of way. So that's why she don't even perform any stuff off the Mary album, to be honest. But No More Drama, Family Affair, everybody loved it. Oh, we back again. And that was actually the first Mary album for me when I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Mary, that's the wild part. It seems like because the sound keeps dipping and diving. You know what I mean? So it's almost like she don't even know which way to go. You know, it's almost like she needs a coach. Like she's out on the floor and she don't know what play to run right now. So it's like, you know, I think she's always needed that. Eddie, did you have a hip hop joint, Vay?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Keith Murray, The Most Beautifulest Thing in the World. I love that song, but when I got the album, I don't know, I was just disappointed because I had expectations, but because it was a debut, I didn't really know what those expectations should be. And Prodigy kind of summed it up on the Infamous, that crazy space shit that don't even mean anything, don't even speak to me, see me. Like, yeah, that's what it was. And shit was like some crazy smoked out space shit that I was trying to dig because it was different. And I'm a music fan, so I'm not rigid to say it has to be this. But I felt like the production was the star more than Keith Murray was. It just didn't feel like, it just felt like he was making songs with no real rhyme or reason. And, that's a crapshoot. Some joints gonna come out dope, others gonna come out, like trash, and people gonna wonder, like, what the fuck you talking about? But yeah, I was disappointed because I was, how when you really want an album to be good, and I'm gonna just keep listening to this shit. Maybe I don't understand.
Right.
Maybe not. Even now, when I go back, I'm like, Cosmic, what? Man, get this shit out of here. Like,
I feel you. It's funny. It was disappointing me. I think The Most Beautifulest Thing was such a huge song that it kind of overshadowed the album not being that great because it enabled him to get mad features. Like everybody had a Keith Murray feature. Candyman had an R. Kelly feature. Mary had not R. Kelly. I'm fucking around with him. Candyman had a Keith Murray feature. Everybody had the Keith Murray features. And it really was just off The Most Beautifulest Thing. Like that's just how big that song was. Because you're right. Like there's a couple of joints on there, but I've never gone back to Keith Murray's debut or his follow-up, for anything on there. Like the only thing on the follow-up was like the rhyme, and I like the Dilla remix more than the Eric Sermon, Before I Let Go remix, so
it's the same thing with the second single on the debut album, Get Lifted.
Yeah.
The remix is fucking crazy, right?
Right.
Like, well, maybe this is what the album should have been between Most Beautifulest Thing in the World and Get Lifted. This vibe, instead of trying to be, something you're really not, right? Like you can't really explain the concept because it really isn't one. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense. So.
And then, no disrespect to Keith. I don't know if Keith got it all upstairs, so I don't know, if we can really expect him to craft a full, I'm dead ass. I work with kids. Some of my kids, I'm like, dog, I can't expect you to come in here and act normal every day. I just can't. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't. You can't do it. Like, so, who knows? Eddie, what you got up for your joints, man?
I only got hip hop, man. I don't want to get on JR's bad side, but
no.
I just wasn't prepared for R&B joints anyway. But first one I'm gonna start with is the Love Movement. Tribe Called Quest, the Love Movement. actually liked Beats, Rhymes, and Life, right? Minus, right, the consequence, coming out of nowhere. We kind of talked about that, So, but I like Beat, Rhymes, and Life. I feel like overall it's a real solid album. Like, it got lots of joints. The thing about the Love Movement, I loved Find a Way, the single, right? Find a Way also was just Q-Tip and Fife, and had that Dilla beat. So I'm like thinking, wow, like this sounds promising, right? And it's them two. It sounded like they had chemistry in that joint. And the album to me sounded nothing like it. It just so flat. And no chemistry. It just wasn't it. I mean, I think they had the bonus disc with like some of their greatest hits and remixes and stuff like that, and it just wasn't worth it to me. And it just, to me, that's the only Tribe album I can't really listen to. Even their latest one, that We Got It From Here joint, I could go back and listen to that joint like that. Love Movement, not at all.
Right. No doubt. Pete, what you got up next?
Okay, so for my hip hop one, I have Redman's Malpractice album. And the reason that one was a disappointment, you guys know how I am with exhaustive track lists. It's 23 tracks long. There is a shit ton of featured MCs, featured artists. There's another handful of skits, which I love Redman and his skits, but this album was just not happening. Like, he's coming off of a stellar 3-album run, and then Docs the Name was dope, and then you have Malpractice, which is a steep decline. Like, I'm talking steep decline from those 4. So for me, it was just a giant disappointment. And I love Redman. I love his personality. I love his humor. I was not enjoying it on Malpractice at all. Like, at all. It was redundant. It was almost like, I don't know, it felt disjointed. Everything that could be wrong with an album was wrong with this album, in my opinion.
No doubt. I don't even remember Malpractice, to be honest with you. So
okay, don't even revisit it. It's all good stuff.
I don't know what it means. I feel like for a lot of MCs and a lot of people, like, after a while I tap out. Like, I don't even know. I couldn't tell you one song off of Malpractice. Like,
Malpractice was like he's got another 3 albums after that. That was a 2001 release. So it wasn't like, you know what I mean? It should have been much better than it was. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I got a couple thoughts on that, because I'm doing this tier list with him and Redman and Method Man. Mm-hmm. So I'm going back and listening to albums I either don't remember or hadn't heard in their catalog. So it could be fresh in my mind. I just listened to Malpractice yesterday, and I mean, I think the formula was old with Docs the Name, and really it started with Muddy Waters and Docs the Name. Between his stardom with Method Man as just celebrities, even on an acting tip, I think it got to the point where he saw some success with his comedy in his songs, and he kept going back to the well. And then he saw some club hits also, right, with I Be That and Pick It Up and stuff like that. And he was going back to the well, but then it was just like corny, and he wasn't the Redman you knew from the previous albums. Most of the funk vibe was gone, and it was more so, how can I be funny on every single thing I'm doing, from the bars to the beats. It just was really bad and signaled the end to his run with his album.
Yeah. And hell, we're still waiting for Muddy Waters too. I swear every year he's on Twitter like, it's coming. And that was 10 years ago. So, God, I've got so many albums to choose from. I'm going to go with the De La Soul GoFundMe album. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. R.I.P. Dave, but that GoFundMe album, because my anticipation was so hyped for it. It was like, yo, we're gonna get the live band and they're gonna play hours of music and we can sample songs that they're playing. And it's gonna be dope and we're gonna do this. And I want to say they got close to $1 million. Did they crack $1 million? Or I know they got close to $1 million for that GoFundMe joint. And when I heard that anonymous joint, I was like, I could have made this album for y'all for $5,000. Y'all pocketed that money. There's no way this album cost no fucking $500,000 to make. This shit is there's some shit you could have got at fucking Dollar General right here, my nigga. So I get it. Niggas had to pay mortgage, put kids through college. I totally get it. I'm not mad at De La for everything you've done for hip hop. Do what y'all want with the money, but at $500, I need to see the receipts. I need to see the studio receipts and everything, because I never thought in a million years that Future would have the hottest verse on a De La Soul album. And that's what I walked away from that anonymous nobody that featured Future had the hottest joint on there. I didn't even like the joint Pete did on there and stuff. Like, it was just a bad album from just beginning to end for me. I didn't like it at all. I'm never going back to it. That's like every group gets a, what I call Forget Me Not out. Common got it with Electric Circus. This is De La's Forget Me Not album. I'm gonna just act like it didn't even exist. And on the R&B tip, I'm curious to know what J.R. thought about this. I'm going with Al B. Sure's sophomore album, Private Times and the Whole Nine.
You ain't lying there.
Coming off of In Effect Mode, which to me is just one of the greatest R&B albums ever, in my opinion. Killing Me Softly, Night and Day, Ooh, This Love Is So, Rescue Me, just everything on that album is perfect. And I was so hyped for this next Al B. Sure album, and it didn't do it at all. And I have, JR, do you know why? I honestly couldn't even sit here and break down why it just wasn't good.
Yeah, after In Effect Mode, it was a wrap for Al B. Sure, to be honest. Like, he was better with penning for other people and doing that, but in Private Times and the Whole Nine, I was like, for real, that long ass title, first of all. And then I was like this, I was like, nah, you got it. I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, come on, you got a song with Diana Ross. That joint was terrible. Like, no, like, go ahead. So nah, that joint was whack to me.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, and I have no idea why. Because if the pen game is still strong, Kyle West is still there with the beats. I don't understand why this follow up wasn't as good as, In Effect Mode.
But I think with the Effect Mode that came out in 87, right?
88. Recorded
right.
87.
Oh, 88, you're right. And then so we're in 90 now, so it's a whole different thing to me. And I was like,
but Christopher Williams was hitting in 90. So,
but then Al B. Sure starting to dance in videos, and he looks stale as shit. Like, no.
Yeah, I did see some old R&B. I did see some old live performance of Al B. somewhere. And he was dancing, and Naomi was like, yo, that's your man? This the dude you telling me about? This nigga dancing? I said, babe, I forgot all about him dancing. He had that one little move that, like, he had that one move that was his go-to. But then that nigga he got out his box. See, forced
right, and it was like, nah,
yeah, it was hard.
You know your lane, stay there.
Right. So that's what I got. Bro, what you got up next, bro?
All right. For hip hop, this is a case where the sophomore album better than the debut to me. Cameron, Confessions of Fire. I was high on Cam, like, yo, you know what I'm saying, off the mixtape stuff and all that. And Confessions of Fire, it's a weird album, bro. Like, I don't know, it's weird. Like the song Glory I had heard, he was kind of spitting on that, but then he got like some. Like I didn't like his
debut, right?
Debut.
This is his debut album, right? All right.
Yeah, I didn't like Horse and Carriage, and it was too many songs like that on it. Like, it was weird. It had a song with his mom rapping with Jim Jones before he knew how to rap. Like, it was some weird stuff on it, man. That album was not what I was expecting. Yeah, it was not what I was expecting, man. And then, but see, then he came out with SDE. That was my shit. Sports, Drugs, Entertainment. That shit had heat on. It had the joint with Dutch and Spade at the end. You know what I mean? He had heat on that. But this was a weird album, man. Like, I was disappointed. We was hyped for it to come out. You know what I'm saying?
Just look at the album cover, and that should have told you everything.
Yeah, he got some leather overalls on with a magic hammer. What is he doing? What is he
like,
he had
like he was making
goggles on
like
the
he was
side.
making some horseshoes, like he was a blacksmith.
Yeah, that shit look crazy, man. That album is crazy, man. There's some wild stuff on that album, man. It's just like, the hell? So,
Whack
yeah,
album, great sports podcast. If y'all not watching Cam's sports podcast,
God.
man,
That's
hilarious.
funny as hell.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
funny.
You got an R&B joint, Rob?
Yeah, Maxwell, Embryo.
Stop.
I didn't like it too when it came out. It took time for it to grow on me. It didn't hit me right away.
Maybe I should gotta listen more and let it grow on me.
I think that's what it is, bro. Because I think you now in the space that y'all are older now, you get it.
Okay.
But I mean, coming off of
Urban Hangs,
coming off of the
then
debut,
the Unplugged.
Oh, that's my shit too. Yes.
Yeah, the Unplugged, and then you get like Embryo was just like, I was like, oh, all right, it's all right.
And then I wasn't with the whole bathtub video.
Not bad. I agree
bubble
with
bath.
Yeah,
like y'all fuck with me about Myron on the bed. This nigga's in a goddamn bubble bath.
We didn't bring it up this time. We didn't bring it up this time. He did.
I mean, I don't mind. I mean, everybody, if you fucking watch one episode of Apartment 5B, you can pick a random episode. I'm sure somebody's gonna find a way to fuck with me because of Myron. But that's cool. I'm just saying, this nigga in the bathtub, don't nobody say shit about this nigga in the bathtub blowing bubbles at the camera.
That was bad. But it's a good album, though. But I get it. When you first heard it, it was disappointing. I get it.
I'm gonna go back since I haven't listened to it.
Go back. It's really it's different, but it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, I'll go back and listen to it.
JR, what you got up next, bro?
All right, so I'm gonna take it back, and I'm gonna go to the Jacksons' "Going Places." This is after they came out with the '76 album with Gamble and Huff. That's what Show Me the Way to Go, Enjoy Yourself, all that. So they did another one with them. Ugh, no. That's when I kind of
everybody watching. This is just JR showing the fuck off because I'm like, what, nigga? I was 3, nigga. I don't know this album. You said like, I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
You asked no, but
you gotta give us some background. So so the Jackson 5. What year are we in? Is Mike about to leave?
All right. So y'all know the '76 album. All right, the '76 album is when they went with Gamble and Huff, right? And they did Show Me the Way to Go, Express Yourself, all that. That's when they left Motown and went.
Are they teenagers? You gotta talk to me like I'm like slow mo.
Oh no, they're
still little kids.
No, they not little kids. No, they teenagers. I can see, yeah.
Because if this is '76, don't Off the Wall come out in '79?
Yeah, that came out in '79. Yeah.
So Mike is 3 years away from leaving the group.
Yeah, well, technically, yeah.
Okay.
So that's when they left Motown and went to Gamble and Huff, and then they gave him that, and then they did it again, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I was like, no, and I kind of knew right then and there that was kind of the end of Gamble and Huff's reign. When you're listening to what they were doing from 72 to like 77, it was like, all right, we know it's getting to that time. Somebody else got to come in, and that's when Solar came in with Leon Silvers and all them. But this album, it wasn't a good album at all. I only like one song, and that song was Different Kind of Lady. And they said when they did that record, they knew that they could produce their own stuff. And that right after then, that's when we go to Destiny, and that's what Blame It on the Boogie and all that, and that's when they started producing their own stuff and Shake Your Body to the Ground. But the one before that, nah.
All right, no doubt. Veg, what you got up next, man?
All right, for I'm gonna continue to piggyback a little bit. I got Maxwell, Black Summer's Night. It's the second version of that. Used to be trilogy, but the third one never came out. It was disappointing because, you know, the first installment kind of brought him back. You know, like the music was great. People was feeling Maxwell again like that. And, you know, the fact that it was a trilogy kind of had me hyped because I'm like, well, if we're going to get this or anything like it, you know, I'm here for it. And it was just so weird. And I mean, it's even continued to this day because I don't know if it's the song choices or the vibe that he was going for. It just wasn't connecting with me. And it was so different, right? Because to me, like the Now album, I don't dislike it. But at that point, I was kind of like, oh, I like a few songs, but not as much as I like his previous work. And this felt, you know, Black Summer's Night, the original felt like
crazy.
It was like, oh, okay, he back on target. And then this one was like, okay, this might be the whack Maxwell album where I could clearly say shit is whack. So I couldn't do it. And look, I was trying, y'all. Like I was listening. I was like, all right, well, maybe when I heard it, you know, I was thinking about something else. So I was doing this. You know, now it's a Sunday or whatever, and I'm outside in the grass, and I'm like, let me just throw that joint on. And it was like, nah, it's not itself. The shit is garbage. Just admit it.
Nah, I was hoping with that joint, and like you said, I'm bugged at how the trilogy just never came out. Like it just stopped. Like he went on tour, and I guess everybody forgot about the album or whatever. But I was really hoping because I don't know if you saw Vague with one of the like deluxe copies or whatever. It came with like a making of the first Black Summer Night album. You know. Yeah, and just seeing him in the studio with like Kenneth Whalum and Chris Daddy Dave, it was just a dope album. They were talking about like making the album and everything, and I was like, yo, this is gonna be a dope trilogy. I was really hoping that maybe they did something like they just recorded like 35 songs just in a month, and that's how they were gonna release the albums like that. But you're right, the second album just felt nothing like the first album at all. And even he came out with a single that was supposed to set off the third album, and even that wasn't great. It was like trying to make myself like it. But yeah, I definitely feel you on that. You got a hip hop joint?
Yeah, I do. What do I have? I have Nas Untitled. Now, which was originally.
Who was the Untitled? That's supposed to be the nigga album, right?
Supposed to be the nigga album.
And what's the single? Is that Hero with Kerry Hilson?
Yeah, Hero.
I think that was the second single. I don't remember what the first single was. But I just remember like reading about it, hearing the interviews, and I always felt like, because Jay-Z will always say, you know, if I wasn't me, I'd be lyrically Talib Kweli. I don't believe that. I believe Jay-Z is who he is. He rap about what he rap about. But I felt like, damn, if Nas did a conscious album, that shit might be crazy. And the fact that he was choosing to do this based off of Dick Gregory's book, and he was going to go ahead with the title, Nigga, and the original cover they had, which was like black and white, like, you know, give you a little civil rights vibe. I was like, yo, this shit might be crazy, right? He working with Dead Prez, he working with Jay Elect. I'm like, this might be a classic. And I remember when I first heard the first joint, I should have known something was wrong, because I was like, oh, he just did what Jay Electronica did with the, you know, the no drums and just a piano loop or some shit, whatever it was. But I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Jay Electronica was there, maybe kind of told them some shit, and boom. But then as you go, it's like none of the build up that they built up was there. It was a missed opportunity like a motherfucker, especially to have Dead Prez with you. You know what I mean? And I think there was only there's only one song, and I'm pretty sure I like more than one song, but there's only one song that I was like, this sounds like it would have been the makings of something great. Is the fried chicken joint, because
and the Buster, yeah.
I like what he's talking about. I like the way it sounds. But it was just poorly executed. And Hero, it was just like what? Like, that's the Meteor Man soundtrack music. Like, what the fuck is this? So why is it on here? This album. And one last thing. The other thing that fed into my anticipation and ultimately my disappointment was the mixtape. Because they put out a mixtape.
I remember that.
I forgot about
that. Shit was probably what the album should have been.
Right.
And once the album came out, it was like, yeah, this is a big missed opportunity.
So who was on the mixtape? I don't even remember that joint.
Let me see. I have it. I forget what DJ did it, but
so it wasn't cuts off the album. What was it, like different like freestyles or something? Or
yeah, some of it I think was songs. Some of it was freestyles. It may have had one or two songs from the album, but it gave you a real. Hold up, I have it right here. Yeah, here it is. Green Lantern did it. That's who did it.
All right.
But you know, it was kind of dope because it was also when they were trying to change the title, so he on the cover with tape over his mouth. So I'm like, oh, this is a dope build up. Who else was on here? Shit, I forgot Mike Tyson was on here. What the fuck? Like, what is this? Joel Ortiz was on there. Dead President.
Surviving the Times was my joint though.
Right. Static Selector's on here. Like, it was the perfect mixtape because it was that time, right, where cats would drop like a street mixtape before the album came out.
Right.
But the album just did not meet the expectations. So.
Why he had to join with Chris Brown on that album? Like, was that necessary?
You know what that was about.
You get political on your album. You get political and conscious, and you drop a joint with Chris Brown, and then it's followed up with that Carrie Hilson joint. It just broke up the album. Like it took you. That was probably my problem too. Is, you know, a lot of the joints that were on topic were a little bit underwhelming, but then he broke up the vibe of the album with the Chris Brown joint, the Carrie Hilson joint. Then they try to take you back, and then it's like, I skip the joints every single time.
Yeah, because like, look at some of the features, right? Like you said, he got a song with Chris Brown and Carrie Hilson, and they're back to back. Sly Fox was dope. Talking about Fox News.
Yeah.
But then on the same album, he got Busta. He has The Last Poets, like David Banner, Middle Finger. That was alright, but it was just a disjointed album because, you know, one song you like, oh, this is what I thought it would be, and the next song you're like, what the fuck? So I think there was some meddling going on there with the record label.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Eddie, what you got up next for yours?
All right. So I actually got an R&B joint. I can't promise I'll have an R&B joint for every turn I got, but I thought of an R&B joint that disappointed me. This was I think this was 112's fourth album, Hot and Wet. Honestly,
yeah.
I can't even tell you what was on that joint.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, because the debut album I loved, right? You know, dope album. Second album, I liked it, you know, maybe, you know, not as much as the first. I feel like that third album was a banger, man.
Yes, it was.
Which one?
Third album was part 3. That was the one that had Peaches and Cream and Dance With Me.
Right.
It's Over Now, Dance With Me, all them joints.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a banger of an album. So following that up, it was a huge disappointment. And honestly, like, I don't even know if they were on Bad Boy for the album.
And that was the problem. It was that they were doing that Def Jam and Bad Boy deal. So they was in that.
They were on Island Def Jam?
Yes, they was Def Jam and Puff. So it was still Bad Boy and Def Jam with that one, because then after that, then it became Def Jam. But yeah,
it was just so. It was hot. Like I can't even tell you what was. I look at the track list and I'm like, I don't know none of them.
They had a record with Super Cat. Like that shit was trash, yo.
Super Cat.
Wait, wasn't he deported by then?
Right. I think that's the thing.
He did his verse while he was in jail.
I think that's the thing. And JR reminded me when he said Super Cat, because I feel like a lot of them joints kind of had this Caribbean feel to it, and it wasn't working.
Horrible. Trash.
Man.
I got a question for the group since you talk of 112. Now, JR, don't kill me because I'd be scared if you think
what? I'm
scared.
so God.
But they did release an album in 2020, and it was only 2 group members called Forever. And one time driving back, I was kind of like, join us, I ain't gonna lie.
So you like the 2 members and the 2 dancers. Got it. Okay.
Right.
Wait, so they got 2 dancers like Scoop and Spratt?
Yes. They're on tour with Mike and Slim and Mike, and they got 2 dancers behind them because the real singers ain't there.
Wow.
I mean, here's the thing, Veg. It may be expectations. I'm sure you wasn't expecting a lot from just 2 niggas. You know what I mean?
Was not. I thought we was gonna joke the album the entire ride, and I was like, I kind of like that song. Like,
ain't that bad for 2 niggas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, these fries ain't bad at 2 a.m. There's only one person working 7-Eleven. Like, damn, this was prime time to be different. But you got a hip hop one, Eddie?
Yeah, man, I got Mobb Deep Infamy. That was the joint where they speaking of 112, right? And the Hey Love with 112. Now the only joint, I didn't mind it. Yo,
but I'm going back to Eddie Murphy. The fuck are you hanging out with Danny Terrio for?
Yeah.
Like, why are y'all hanging out with 112?
It sounded out of place. It sounded out of place. Like, Prodigy didn't sound right on that joint, man. He sounded like, son,
that song, like, it's not a poorly made song. Like, it's not that. It's that when the mob came out with that, and then P start, hey love, I want to hold you. I was like, what the fuck? Hold on, bro. Hold on. This can't be real. Like, the song isn't really bad though, but it's just
the song ain't really bad. It's just out of place.
I love that song. It's a dope.
Porsche.
I like it too, boys. I do.
Now, we know you love the Porsche.
Yeah.
Now they had a banger on that. They had a banger on that album though. That burn joint. That burn joint was crazy. Yeah.
Oh,
the problem is that was the only one. That was it.
Burn was crazy. So, but Hey Love is not a bad song. It just caught me off guard. I didn't expect that from Mobb Deep.
I feel like they had such a dope run, man, and it was like, and I think that was also after the Summer Jam stage, right?
It was.
Yeah.
Oh,
and look, that's the worst part.
I'm telling you, I called P fucking Nick Anderson from Orlando Magic. You missed him 4 free throws. Nick was never the same. After that Summer Jam joint, to me, P was never the same.
P wasn't the same, yo.
I'm not saying he got whacked. I'm just saying P was never Quiet Storm P again to me.
Nah, he got whacked. You can say it.
Okay.
He one of my favorites.
The only reason why I didn't want to say that is because I don't like speaking about, like, I didn't hear none of P's solo shit, like, outside of the joint Keep It Thorough, that album. So I know a lot of people be like, nah, his mixtapes, after he got out of jail, he was on his shit again. So I tapped out of P after that. So that's the only reason why I didn't want to say he was whack. Because
you can check out Alvin
Turn It Up Mack.
The joint him and Alchemist.
Okay.
That one gives you Prodigy vibes, like, P, I know. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. All right, P, what you got up next?
Okay, so I have Eminem, and I've got Encore, Relapse, Recovery, and pretty much any album he dropped.
Yo, the funny thing is, I'm trying to write down everybody's things. I'm like, well, damn, Encore. I'm like, wait a second, like 6 albums in a hit right there. So again, I'm not the biggest M fan, so you got to help me with these albums. So Encore is what, the 3rd album?
No, Encore would be his. Oh God, it would be his fourth album. So Encore would be his 2004 drop. Now, people think I hate Eminem. I don't hate Eminem at all. I actually love Eminem, and I bought physical copies up until Recovery because I was like, you know what? He can't, like, he's got to bounce back. Like, it's Eminem. He's good for it. And it was disappointment after disappointment. So Encore is the joint with Toy Soldiers on it. For those who have to, like, want to remember, but coming off of like the Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, and the Eminem Show, you're looking at 3 very solid albums back to back. And Eminem's good for it. We know he's good for it at that point. It's kind of like what Veg said about Mary. Like, he's not going to give me a whack album at this point. And then he drops Encore, and it's like, what the hell is happening here? And then it was Recovery, or Relapse, and then it was Recovery, and then Eminem's been just on a steady decline since the Encore album. So, yeah.
When did M get off drugs?
2010.
Probably, I think it would have been 2004. That album, or 2009, the following album.
Damn, he had a 5-year break between 4 and 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a long break.
He had a long.
Because again, I'm not the biggest M fan, but I've always heard people say that M getting sober fucked him up, whereas Royce getting sober made him better. So it seemed like M off drugs or whatever he was on, he got whacker. Whereas when he was on drugs, he was dope. So I was just trying to see if that played an effect in.
It absolutely did. Album. It absolutely did. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't want him to stay on drugs just to make good music. I'd rather him be healthy. But then he's giving me really terrible albums. It's his whole shoving like 7 billion syllables and words into one beat is tired. It's played out. Like we've heard it. Just do something different, or just, I don't know, stop doing that. I don't know. It was just disappointing, and it's been steadily disappointing with every single drop after Encore for me.
One thing I want to mention, since y'all said something about Redman that I feel like applies to M as well, which is, you know, I think M tried to hold on to that whole sense of humor, right, or his shock value, and I think more shock value in his case, right? And he tried to hold on to that for too long, and he could have evolved, and I think by the time he tried to evolve, it was too late. I feel like the D12 stuff did not help him. I thought that shit was corny as hell too.
Right.
You ain't like Bizarre, man?
No.
What were you gonna say, Bag?
Now I was gonna say, I'll say I agree. Encore was trash, and it was exactly what Eddie was saying. Just him going back to a formula because it worked 3 times. 4th time wasn't the charm. But also, I think when he came out with the joint Relapse, I kind of liked it because it was a little bit more Slim Shady, but obviously not up to his heyday. Recovery, I wasn't mad at it only because of what it was about. It was kind of hard to hate on it because it was like, I mean, the man trying to live, so okay, cool. Like, it doesn't age well, right? Because I can't go back to it. I think his best post 3-album run album is his last album, Music the Murder Vibe. I think he found the pocket because that political album, that is hands down, that got to be his worst album. The one where it's like, oh, he's going at Donald Trump. Is the worst. He can't even rap on that shit. It's terrible. It's really bad. Marshall Mathers 2 was a disappointment as well. Should have never named it that. Rap God was probably the only. And shit, Rap God video did more for Rap God than the actual song. But yeah, I agree. It's Royce got better, you know, because he was more focused and not angry. And I think what we liked about Eminem was that he was crazy and angry, but you know, it was him being on drugs that propelled that joint. His BT ciphers are better than his albums, put it that way.
I'll say this, like Boy said, you hate for somebody to have to be on drugs to make good music. We hate for Mary to have to get her heart broken to make good music, but some people just make great music during certain times. You know, it's a sad reality of it. The next one I got up, man, this one is one that probably nobody is going to remember, nobody would name. But this album right here was probably the most important hip-hop producer album to me until probably Pete's Soul Survivor came out. This one held the chip for me. So when I heard that Marley Marl was coming out with In Control Volume 2, for your staring pleasure, I said, oh, this is gotta be crazy. You know what I mean? This is gonna be crazy. That thing was horrible. It was trash. I don't know what happened. He came out with a Symphony Part 2 that was trash, and it had Little Daddy Shane on it, who was Big Daddy Kane's little brother. Who somebody just said, bro, we gotta come up with a Little Daddy. What'd you say, Big?
I said Rel's face is killing me right now.
Nah, his name was Little Daddy Shane.
Little Daddy Shane.
I mean, this whole album, I mean, there's nothing on here. I mean, it's really. What'd you say?
Was that Volume 2 that you held up?
No, this is Volume 1. That's Volume 1. Volume 2, I'm trying to find a cover for it now. It's just like Marley leaning up against the car. It was horrible. It was a horrible album. It was horrible. It was bad. Yeah, I mean, just with Little Daddy Shane on. I mean, why would you add that nigga to the symphony? Like, it's like adding Consequence to Tribe Called Quest. It was just bad across the board. And like I said, nobody remembers it, as you should not remember it. On the R&B side, I'm gonna go with Fan Mail, TLC. What'd you say, Pig?
I said that's a good one. Dope.
That's a good
I was a big TLC fan. I loved their debut album, Crazy Sexy Cool was my shit. But this Fan Mail, I was never a fan of the No Scrubs. You know, I just didn't dig that whole futuristic sound to it. So, you know, while SWE was going hard with their third album and Mary and all these other groups from the 90s, you didn't like SWE's third album, JR?
We gonna get there.
Okay, cool. I just felt like TLC dropped the ball with this one. So yeah, Fan Mail is definitely one for me. You like Fan Mail, JR?
I did.
Okay.
I did. But I get why people didn't. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, the whole futuristic thing. And I didn't like No Scrubs either. But, you know, I get it. You know what I mean? They did. But I did like it. Though.
You coming off Red Light Special and Creep and Dig on You. You gotta hit me with something in the head on this joint. And they ain't hit me with nothing. So that was it. Ralph, what you got up next?
I actually had Fan Mail on one of my joints. But I got Nori, Melvin Flynt.
Yeah.
We all took an L on that one, bro. Come on. Like Nori was on fire. After seeing that album and then his solo, Nori was on fire. He got one little.
Was this his sophomore album? This was his third album, right?
This was his sophomore solo album, but this was his third album when you heard him, because you had to sing War Report. Then you had the NORE album, which was a good album, and then Melvin Flynt, and it was man. Like, he got, I guess he hooked up with Pharrell off the one John, a super with a super thug, and he just went off deep. Like, yo, Melvin Flynt was such a disappointment, yo. Like it's one of them Johns that like you listen to it like the first week it came out and never go back to it. Like I have no reason. There's only one song on there I like that was Cocaine Business. And but I don't even, you remember that John? Yeah,
right.
With Khalid, yeah. That shit was fire, but that album was all it was all over the place. It was not good at all. Like, and I was disappointed because you know what I'm saying. I was a Nori fan at that point. You know what I mean? Like, don't think about him like Drink Champs. I'm thinking about like back then. You know what I'm saying? Nori was on fire at one point. You know what I'm saying? And he put that and I was like, oh man. It kind of was like a downward spiral for him. He started doing reggaeton and all that shit. So shit got different, man. But yeah.
The reggaeton check started coming in, and that nigga was like, "Hey, I'm going any which way the money, whichever way the wind blows, that's which way I'm going right there." Yeah. So,
yeah.
All right, Gerald, what you got up next?
Release Intention.
You didn't like that?
Not at all, because it's not an SWV album to me. It's rappers featuring them, and that's not what they were about to me. And when I found out who was the A&R of the record, it was Harvey Pierre. So he was Bad Boy. So this was a total album to me. It sounded like it was a total album to me, like a group that needed rappers on it.
Now here's the thing: how did Harv? Usually the A&R works for the label. So did Harv lead Bad Boy and was working with whoever?
So they were. When they started New Beginning, they had their A&R, which was Kenny Ortiz, but then he left or whatever and got fired. And then they got Harvey, became the A&R from the second part of the project. Then for the last Release Intention, he was the A&R for the whole thing. And I'm like, you part of Bad Boy. So to me, all these records could have been a total record. That's why I'm glad that Brian came with Rain, because it gave you that SWV sound that we love. But other than that, it was, come on, they doing a record with E40 and Snoop Dogg. Like, come on, like, what are we doing here? Like that.
Yo, I ain't gonna hold you. I fucking love Release Intention, man.
I do too.
That shit with Foxy, that shit with, I mean, I can even the fucking Puff, Jack, and 10 Crack Commandments. Like,
now,
you know what I mean?
That was a half-ass production record, and I just didn't like it.
I mean, I feel you coming from the standpoint of that wasn't an SWV record.
Right,
Me not being an SWV fan, I thought the shit was dope. You know what I mean? Right. But I totally get it coming from the aspect of somebody who's a fan versus somebody who's just listening to the music. Like you said, that just didn't feel like an SWV album. You know what I mean? Do we give artists the chance to grow then?
You talking about as far as them?
I mean, I'm just talking about in general, like from Portia's comments about, you know, Joe didn't do this, where everybody's kind of saying we didn't like this sound or we didn't like that. Like, we're all saying those things. And so do we really want, we did a show about this, like people always be like, yo, grow as an artist, and then they grow and then we shit on them like, well, no, that album was whack.
But I knew from SWV that wasn't a growth album. That was a hurry up and put this album out, because y'all was on, it was like New Beginning just came out a year ago. So y'all didn't even let that breathe. And then it was like all the people that was down with them was removed. Now they with some new people. And it's like, oh, we want to put this album out. Fuck New Beginning. Fuck It's About Time. We want to now give y'all an album. And it's no growth to me. That was no growth from New Beginning to Release Intention. Now, as a y'all, if they would have came in like that, I'd have been like, yo, this shit is dope. But as a fan, they didn't come in like this. I'm like, this ain't even growth. You can tell they just gave them records and said, do it. And we gonna throw this album out. And that was what it was to me.
All right, what were you gonna say, Vay?
No, I was gonna, I agree with JR, because I think, you know, to grow, you're building upon what you've already done. And if it's completely different from what you've done, then that's not really growing. That's just experimenting. You know what I mean? So
but I mean, even
could allow them to experiment, but well, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, because the thing, and I always tell a story about Group, when I was like, yo, I felt when I first heard what's the joint they got with Casey and JoJo, Royalty?
Yeah.
Like I felt like that was like borderline sellout. And I was like, yo, the beat is dope, but why are we with Casey and JoJo? He took us out to Dave and Buster's, and I asked Guru, he's like, nigga, we always want to fuck with Josie. We fuck with them niggas. You know, we fuck with Casey and JoJo. And it made me think, okay, so maybe it isn't always the label is making us do. Maybe it isn't always the A&R is making us do. Maybe they said, hey, we want to do a song with Puff. Maybe they said, hey, we fucking love E40. We don't know. And Guru really changed my whole mind with that, because it's like, you're right, we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, let's just say Rel was like a country hip hop R&B artist, but this nigga's from Uptown, we from Philly, we wear polo, we love the Sixers, we just want to do a song together. The fans would look at that like, oh, Kill's selling out, he getting with the country R&B dude, Rel, and it would look like that. Not understanding behind closed doors, yo, I fuck with this nigga. Like, yo, I want to make music with him. There's a lot of people who may fuck with E40. Now, on the surface, JR, it may look like, oh, that's just a money grab, or that's just this. But it and I'm not saying that it isn't. You may you probably was on the phone with Taj and she was telling
No. Because the only thing I was gonna say was, you watch all the interviews, they shit on this album bad.
Right. But I'm just saying, from that standpoint, or like you said, babe, with growth, it may not necessarily always be growth, but it may be like, yeah, I do want to experiment. I do want to, I do want to not make no beats with no samples in it. Now, here's the problem. Y'all may say, well, Kill, your beats with no samples are whack as shit. We don't like them. You know what I mean? But I'm not doing it to sell out. I'm not doing it for the label. I'm just doing it because, and Beg, I know you keep up with the new Wu-Tang series. And I like this episode because you see RZA being like, yo, I don't want to use samples no more. I'm buying some crazy guitar, and this is going to be the new song. This is going to be the new style of Wu-Tang. And I'm like, and this is where we go downhill, huh? This is where this shit starts to sink, because you don't want to use samples no more. And we love you for your samples. So I just think it's hard because, you know, I just think it's hard. And I mean, I think we're all guilty of it because, yeah, we all want, like I said, do I want Pusha T to start rapping about taking his kid to daycare? No. I want you to continue to talk about selling coke. I don't want to know about you and your wife living in Bethesda. I want to, where's the coke? You know, but then you sit back and you be like, oh, all he does is talk about coke. You know, so I don't know, like, where's the balance of, or is it just like I always say, as long as it's dope? Because Outkast, we gave Outkast a chance to change, but they always do something. And, well, I don't know, because you got a lot of people who were Outkast fans in the beginning who dipped off by the time Aquemini came. Like, yo, these dudes is weird.
Well, I think the difference with Outkast is built into their name. So when they did different things, I just thought of Outkast. They don't do what everybody else does. They do what they want to do. It's the same thing with Kendrick. Once Kendrick didn't do a Good Kid, Mad City 2, we just accepted that he's going to give you something different. So now our expectations is always going to be something different. And then it's a pleasant surprise when he gives us something from the past we like. Right. I think artists and musicians should be allowed to experiment. Miles Davis did it to death. And all that shit wasn't good, but he did it because that's Miles Davis. When he was doing jazz, that's what he was doing. But the jazz heads look at it like, this is the Miles I like. But to him, he was experimenting then. When he was doing, you know, when he had the band with, you know, with John Coltrane and Charles Mingus and all of them in it. So I think artists should be allowed to experiment, but they have to know not every fan is going to be with you for the ride. You know,
and I think that's the piece right there. Like again, with Miles, I lean on you, the jazz station guru, just from the standpoint of I don't know if jazz people just like, okay, he missed these 3 albums, he didn't hit the mark, but we're still coming back with listening to Miles. That usually doesn't happen in hip hop. You missed the mark with one album with us, you're done. We were just talking about like what is it about Nas and Snoop that they can keep missing albums and keep missing the mark, and we keep coming back. Like there are very few artists like that's Miles, one of the greatest ever. I don't know if every jazz artist had that same leeway to be able to experiment like Nas does. Nas has dropped dud after dud, and we're still like waiting there for the next new Nas album to come out. Like, I don't know how we do it. And like you said, I do think everybody should have the right to experiment, but I guess, you know, like with the Electric Circus, I was like, all right, calm, this is your dud. And then he bounced back with B, and it was like, good, he's back, you know? And then he came with that, what was the other one that everybody I never heard it, and everybody was like,
Universal Mind Control.
Yeah, they're like, if you think fucking Electric Circus was bad, nigga, you don't want to listen to Universal Mind Control. You know what I mean? So, but I guess that's the thing. But then with me, with Calm, he's experimented so much, I don't even want to hear Calm no more. Like, I've checked out like 2-3 albums ago. Like, I'm just checked out. So, but I guess it's just weird. I guess it's just the chance you have to take. And I don't know if we're just older. I don't know, JR, did more people take risk in the 80s? Like with R&B, like where people...
It did, and they had to, because then it came out of disco, and you know how disco, they shitted on that afterwards. So people was trying to find this sound, and a lot of it was horrible. Like a lot of our disco artists couldn't even come out of that trying this new sound because people wasn't fucking with it. It was like, nah, we ain't rocking with that. Like, this sucks and all that. And that's why, again, how Leon and Kashif came in and was like, yo, this is the sound here. This is this new sound. And then after that, that's when Jammer Lewis. But before then, it was very experimental. I say from 80 to like 83 was experimental. People was trying to find something because with new technology coming in and all that, but it was like finally people got it. But the experimental, you can see some people had some horrible albums from 80 to 83. It was bad.
Like, how did y'all feel about Gang Starr's The Ownerz? Did y'all like that?
I did, but I think at the time, like, because I get distracted
that's
by
with Skills and Right Where You Stand with Jadakiss.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, it was all right. It was
Who
all
Got
right.
Guns with MOP.
I thought it was cool.
It was all right.
You see, for me, like, I look at, how can I say? I feel like The Ownerz was like the first album where I feel like they didn't elevate. Like, whether you have your favorite Gang Starr album, right? Whether it might be Step Into the Arena or Daily Operation or whatever, right? I feel like they elevated on every album. And I feel like on The Ownerz, coming off of Moment of Truth,
Yeah.
I feel like it was a Gang Starr album, but it didn't elevate. Because to me, Moment of Truth is a masterpiece.
Now, when you say elevate, how would you define elevate? So, like, Hard to Earn comes out, Mass Appeal comes out, which is arguably probably their biggest hit.
Yeah.
Most people's favorite song. Then you go to, what's the elevation? Like, how do you define they elevate? Like, are you defining like they got better or they got deeper? To me, and this may not be a popular statement, I feel like as far as like a body of work, I feel like Moment of Truth may be their best body of work. Maybe not their best album, you know, that's up for people's opinion. I feel like that whole what's body
album,
of work?
Meaning like from track to track, I mean, take out the mall, right? You take out the mall, right? You feel like, you know, Guru is telling stories, he's getting more personal. I feel like the production value is up there, rhyme styles. I feel like even Guru elevated like his rhyme styles on a lot of them joints. Like, he's still monotone. Guru's always going to be monotone, but I feel like he stepped out of that even ever so slightly on Moment of Truth. But yeah, man, I mean, Moment of Truth, I just feel like it just feels like an elevation to me, like as far as like the songwriting and everything. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the earlier Gang Starr album, like Guru had a certain writing formula, and I feel like he even elevated that.
All right. I was just asking about The Ownerz because I know a lot of people don't like it. I thought it was dope. Was it better than Moment of Truth? No. You know what I mean? But I was just wondering, like, nothing on it was whack, but I was just like, yo, is it just, are niggas just tired of Gang Starr? Like, has it just run its course? You know, by the time 2000 came, you know, everybody wasn't clamoring over Premier beats anymore. Like, it was 95. You know what I mean? They had the posse cut with MOP. Who Got Guns was hard as shit. But it just felt like nobody could say the album was whack. It just was like, and I was just like, so maybe that's just it for Gang Starr. Because it's not like a Tribe. It's not like a Beats, Rhymes, and Life where people are like, I'm not feeling this. But it's not like a Love Movement where it's like, oh, this is just going downhill. It just felt like it ran its course. You know, while like Vegas, like, oh, Redman, you was getting too comedic, or Porsche, or Eminem was trying to get too much shock value. Gang Starr was just doing what Gang Starr just always did. And I'm just wondering, did people just get tired of it? Like, okay, this is y'all what, 6th album? Y'all do the same shit. Y'all do the same shit. The beats was dope. I didn't think anybody could really say there was a whack beat on you know, the Ownerz. You know what I mean? I can't say Guru came whack. The rhymes were whack on the Ownerz, but again, it just wasn't better than Moment of Truth.
Right.
Like to me, that's only
such a high standard. You know, I think they set such a high standard, right? Like Gang Starr is one of the groups, like we talked about it, like that 4-album run from Step Into the Arena to Moment of Truth. Like, you can have any 4 of them albums could be someone's favorite Gang Starr album, right? You never hear anyone say the Ownerz is their favorite. Maybe one of the Young Cats, right? And that other album that came before, no one ever mentions that. So I feel like
they don't even count that. Vague doesn't even that's Mobb Deep's first album. The first Gang Starr album, you don't even count that.
The Koofy cover and shit. Where they like,
no more Mr. Nice Guy.
Oh, Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, if just after some time we just get tired of stuff. Because I think it's a good album. I think it's, you know, a solid 4 for me. But when people ever talk about it, it's like, whatever with Gang Starr. I don't even know who I left off on. Was it your turn, Eddie, or Vegas? Did you go with yours?
I think I go after you or JR. I think
you go after JR. JR, did you already go? You said
I said SWV, Release Some Tension.
Right, and that's how we got on the whole Release Some Tension and everything like
that. Right. So it's me.
All right, I got Carl Thomas, Conqueror.
Third. This is the third one.
It's the 4th one.
Oh shit! I didn't know he came out with a 4th.
Yeah, he had Emotional in 2000. Let's Talk About It in 2004. So Much Better in 2007.
Yeah.
And then in 2011, he had Conqueror.
That shit.
Conqueror was like, if you listen to those first 3 albums, you're like, this is Carl Thomas. This is the kind of R&B he makes. And it's 3 dope albums to me. Like I played them all. Conqueror is I don't know what the fuck it is. It's
Conquer shit.
Yeah, it's like a dance. I don't know what he was thinking. It's nothing like any of the other albums. And I remember I didn't even know it was out. So you know, if he had these 3 albums that I love,
is this some indie shit? What, you know, if he was indie at this time, or after the first album
on Bad Boy no more.
Right, he was off Bad Boy. I want to say by the second album. Like, I think the second album wasn't even Bad Boy.
Right. He was on.
It was
Verve.
split. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was on Verve for this album. Actually, he was on Bad Boy for the second album.
Yeah.
Third album, I don't know.
Okay.
Third album, he was gone. The second album, it was split. The third album, he was gone. Like 112, basically.
Yeah, like this album. I mean, it's difficult to explain because you like, even if you just take Emotional Kill, you know that album front to back.
Right.
Even if you've never heard the 2 follow-ups, I could tell you the vibe is similar to what you know from Carl Thomas, which would make you listen. The fourth one, different. You're like, this is Carl Thomas, and I think he got Danny Terrio in here. I don't know, maybe I'm like, he got a song. I think Snoop be killing certain albums, right? Like,
then they do a he's on the remix. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, this joint called "Don't Kiss Me."
That.
It's just bad, man. Like I was going door to door like Jehovah's Witness, when people like, don't listen to that Carl Thomas outfit. Have a nice day.
I wonder why, man. I'm always wondering, like, what happens. You know what I mean?
I think he was experimenting with this one.
Experiment? Okay.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
He started experimenting on Let's Talk About It, though. But I think people go a little too far. It's like, yes, like you said, Kill, you can be an artist. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have
do you think it's better for an artist to kind of give you the heads up? Like me and Tanya, if we're arguing, I'll be like, see, I didn't get the memo. You didn't give me the memo. You didn't send me the memo that something had changed. Like, what I liked about Gang Starr and Jazzmatazz is they made it very well known. This is Guru's solo project. It is Jazz. It is Donald Byrd. It is Lonnie Liston Smith. It is Roy Ayers. This is not a Gang Starr album. So if you purchase that album, there was no disappointment. You'll never hear nobody say, "Oh, I was disappointed in Jazzmatazz because I was expecting this." So do you think it's better for people to give us a heads up? And I guess you can do it through social media because normally it would come on. What was Donnie Simpson's show? Video Soul.
Video Soul. Yeah.
Normally it would come on that show. So do you think it would be better if people gave us a heads up? Like, hey y'all, I'm experimenting. Prayerfully you rock with me. You know, if not, I don't know. Because again, I want to give these artists a chance to grow, but I feel like, as fans, it's like, dog, we like you for this. We don't want you doing that.
When an artist when they go on interviews and they got a new album coming out, and when the first thing that comes out of their mouth is like, this is the best album I've ever made, that's when I say red flag. I'll be like, red flag right there. Cause it's like, nah, son, like don't come in like that. So I already know, all right, they on some experimental shit. So I'm going to expect this. So I'm going into it like, all right, they experimenting cool. But
you know what? Maybe we're too hard on hip hop. Maybe as hip hop fans, we are too hard. Maybe it's just the culture, the way we were brought up in our neighborhoods. We're too hard because I'm thinking about gospel, and I always tell a story about CC. I was about to say CC Finiston. I'm getting old. CC Winans. Mm-hmm. So I get her album Everlasting Love, contemporary gospel. I'm so hyped for her next album, Alabaster Box, but it was praise and worship. And I was like, yo, what is this? And my OG, Veg, I think you may remember Dwayne Johnson up at EAA. He ran Gospel Grace. He's like, well, nah, Kill, with gospel artists, we have contemporary, we have praise and worship, we have different forms of gospel music that we do. So for me, I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm not feeling praise and worship. I'll just wait for CC to make another contemporary album. And if that took 3 years, then I just waited 3 years. And I knew I didn't hold that against her. You know what I mean? Whereas in hip hop, maybe we need to give artists that type of space to where they can say, I'm gonna make these 2 albums over here. I will be back for y'all niggas. Like I'm coming back for the backpackers. I'm not leaving y'all, but I want to try some shit over here. If you fuck with it, buy it. If not, don't buy it. Just don't give up on it. I feel like that's what needs to be said because we give up on them after an album. After Kane dropped it was like, we're done with Kane. He's over. It's a wrap. So do y'all think that would help more? Like if artists would be like, look, I'm just doing some praise and worship over here for a while. Ignore it if it ain't your thing, but I will be back around with another contemporary gospel album.
But I feel that's not really an artist though to me. Because it's like, for real, you want to do that, but you got to also cater to the fans that liked you for what you like when you first did what you did. So it's like, if you're going to be an artist, you should be able to kind of mix the two together so everybody can be happy rather than go all the way to the left and completely leave people what they loved you for, to me.
But here's the problem with that. Then you get a Dave East album when you got some trap, you got some drill, you got some boom bap, you got all this shit. And I feel like I'm at Golden Corral where I'd rather Dave just say, look, because Dave is a young nigga. Dave is like early 30s. I'm like, Dave, make your drill music. Do that shit that make you happy. Just let me know when you back on this hip hop shit over here with Nas. Like type thing. So, but I prefer that than getting an album with 3 boom bap, 3 drill, 3 trap, 3 down south. Like I prefer you just make a whole down south album with your niggas. And like I said, I'll wait. I'll come back around. I think Fab did a good job of it. Fab used to do it with the soul tapes. Like it'd be like Fab would make these records with the R&B music, but when you wanted real Fab, you just waited for the soul tape to pop up.
But is it because we're older though that we do that? and give them like, cause you like tell them, yo, I'm gonna do this, but then I'll wait for you to do what I want. Is that?
I don't know. What do y'all think, Porsche? Rob, what do y'all think? Once my man explained that to me about CeCe Winans, I was like, oh, okay, cool. She's making praise and worship. And again, maybe it's because it's religious. Praise and worship is for God. So I don't want to get mad that you making music for God. So, but
you better than me because I like her with her brother better than solo. So
I feel you. Like Vague, with that, do you hold it against Fab that he makes these songs for the radio on his albums, but he's gonna give you the soul tape? You know, a soul tape is coming almost every summer, or it was.
Well, at one point it wasn't.
Okay.
And you were only getting, because I was always disappointed in Fab albums, because when you heard his freestyles, you're like, well, damn. I mean, can't you fill the album with some of those? Like, I like some of the party joints, but his goals were clear. I think once he started doing the soul tape, the Summertime Shootout joints,
right,
that gave him a lot of balance. But I think in a lot of ways, I mean, you kind of both right? Because if you're going to experiment and you are a recording artist and it's your job, then you're taking a chance with your core. Maybe you're trading your core for a bigger audience that likes this new thing. Vice versa, can you go back if that doesn't work? And it's kind of like a choice you have to make. And for some people, it just works. Like to me, D'Angelo, it just works. None of his albums sound the same, and one is years apart from the other two. So I think it just depends on who you are and sometimes the music you created and how accepting your fan base is of you experimenting in ways, especially if it sounds good.
Right. Like here's an example. Porsche, close your ears. Vague, I know you'll get this. Drake makes various different albums. He had the dance album when the guy passed away, when Virgil passed away. My man was like, oh, this is type music Virgil likes, so that's why he made this album. But I feel like Drake can kind of do that. One album, Drake is Jamaican. I don't think people have too many issues with it. Another album, he's spitting. Another album, it's a dance album. But he's still on top of the fucking world. Like, you know what I mean? And is that just because he's Drake and he's just Drake that he can do that? And he's not worried about losing his fan base? Or, like I said, with Outkast, I always felt like Cass would lose. I know diehard hip-hop heads who have never heard of Criminal. Who after ATLians, they was like, oh no, man, your man crazy, he whack. I know diehard niggas, and it just seemed like they would lose fans, but then they would gain. Right. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people who stopped fucking with Kendrick after The Pimp a Butterfly. Niggas like, nah, OG, that album crazy. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. You know what I mean? So it's almost like you lost those fans, but then you come with and you gain a whole new slew of fans. So do you think Drake just gets away with that because he's Drake, or like do you think somebody else could have that same leeway to just make a whole dance album just out of fucking nowhere, then turn around and make an album with 21 Savage, then turn around and make another album?
I think with Drake, I think he's kind of like, I don't know, in some ways struck luck with just being trendy every time he drops something.
Right.
So just make something catchy and it's almost like appointment music for his fans, right? It's new Drake, like Jay-Z's like that now. And Beyonce, like if it's out, there's some extreme Beyonce heads that I'll be looking to see. Well, do they like this album versus this album? Right? They like
because B did give that heads up, isn't that right, JR? Didn't she say something like, "This is my dance album, then I'm gonna make an R&B album"? Like she had a plan. Like I remember her saying, like, I'm making this dance album. Yeah, she was like, I'm making a dance album, then I'm gonna make a regular Beyonce album, then I'm gonna make a die-hard like R&B soul album. Like she kind of gave you the layout of like, this is what I'm doing for the next couple of years. But wow, this album is totally different. Tanya's a huge Beyonce fan. She does not like this new album at all.
Oh, she don't like Renaissance at all.
At all.
Yeah.
Because it's like all house music, and she doesn't like house music. So it's like she's like, nah, I'm not feeling this album at all. You know, but I don't think she's gonna turn her back. Like if she comes out with another album and it's the regular Beyonce, I'm sure she'll be right back on board with it. But yeah, you know. But that's a great point, Vague. But again, we're talking about the biggest stars in the world. You know what I mean? So we're talking about Beyonce, Drake, Jay-Z. But like, if Conway all of a sudden starts doing something different, or Pusha starts doing something different, or like just a regular Joe starts doing something different. But
well, look,
I don't know.
I think they took their chance and it worked. So now it always works.
Right.
It's not going to be the case for somebody. I think with Conway and Benny, they've dabbled in. I'm gonna put a trap record on it.
Right.
It didn't blow them up with that audience, and even though I liked it, it didn't do what I think they were trying to get. Right, they were trying to get a little crossover in there. You know, maybe I got one song that I could get the younger generation to come out. I don't know why you want them to come out. Them niggas just kill each other. So you don't want them in the building. Like,
right.
You know, you don't. But
no, it makes sense. Makes sense. Did you have you did an R&B? Did you have a hip hop one?
Yeah, I have. Since you brought it up, we got a lot of segues tonight. Conway and Alchemist, Lulu.
Oh, God.
When I tell you I was killed, man, you talk about Hoodie Vegas, I was ready. I was like, yo, I'ma just Hoodie, I'ma put it on, I'm gonna be outside doing some yard work, I'ma just repeat and just keep going. And it was almost like, no, like none of them shits was working.
The only one I like on there is the one with who's doing the chorus?
Is it Stove God? Yeah.
Nah. It's like one of them Ab-Soul niggas. One of them TDE niggas. I get them all fucking confused.
Schoolboy Q.
Yeah, Schoolboy Q. He's not with TDE?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. I knew he was one of them niggas. One of them niggas was it. Yeah, Schoolboy Q got a chorus on there that's dope. But I really like Schoolboy Q. Like, that's the highlight of the album for me.
It's really boring. And I never thought I would say that with Conway and Alchemist doing a project together. I just knew the beats would be dope. I knew Conway would have a certain energy because it's Alchemist. And it really was just run-of-the-mill boom bap beats and rhymes. And it was just nothing special about it in the way I thought it would be from two special people in hip-hop. So I was disappointed big time.
I agree 100%. This came out in 2020, 2019 when we did the year-end show, like what album would you want? My number one album was the Conway Alchemist album. You know what I mean? So, and usually when we do those shows, I'm just shooting at the fucking stars. Like, who knows? And then when it was like, yo, they doing it, yeah, man. I mean, the joint is shoot sideways. I like that joint, but yeah, I definitely feel you on that. Girl disappointed in that Luke joint. Eddie, what you got up next?
All right, I got The Roots, The Tipping Point. I know when most people say The Roots, they'll mention Phrenology. Phrenology is an album that grew on me, so I can't mention Phrenology. Because at least on Phrenology, I felt like they were trying. They were kind of experimenting, they were being eclectic. That album grew on me. It had some joints.
Tipping Point was like what?
The Tipping Point was Don't Say Nothing.
Oh, that was horrible.
Right. So here's the thing, man. The Tipping Point, I feel like that was their album to get off Geffen. Because after the Tipping Point...
They were on MCA at that time.
No, I think that was...
they was on MCA from Things Fall Apart. They was only on Geffen for Do You Want More and Illadelph. By the time they got the Things Fall Apart, they were on MCA.
Whatever, man. They were getting off. Nah, because on Don't Say Nothing, he said, give it here, Geffen Records, I'm off the handle. I feel like MCA may have became Geffen again, like label shit. Like they didn't change labels, the label changed right under their nose.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
Because Mary had that. She was MCA, went to Geffen.
Yeah.
So
that's what it is.
And I feel like that was an album to get off the label. They weren't even trying. You know what I mean? Don't Say Nothing didn't even have a hook. Like they had Black Thought mumbling the hook, and they were like, "All right, that's cool, that's fine." Cut the check. Yeah. All right, let's go with that shit. They had hardly no features. They had Jean Grey, like the Jean Grey feature. Like I was hyped for it because I'm a fan of Jean Grey. That song was like mad sleepy. It was just underwhelming. That's all I can say. I mean, they had.
I'm just looking at this joint now. They had stuff. I mean, I felt like
Stay Cool bit off of Ego Trip.
I mean, yeah, Jack the Ego Trip. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, maybe they was trying to get off Geffen. I just felt like after things fall apart, y'all know me, I felt like the roots just fell off. You know, I felt like once Malik B left and Quest took over production duties, it was fucking downhill from there. I mean, I didn't like another Roots album until Malik B came back. Well, and I forgot what album that was.
That was the very next album.
Yeah.
That was,
Game Theory.
Game Theory.
Yeah, that Game Theory came back.
That album dope.
That was on Def Jam.
That's when I fucked with them again. So, I feel you. P, what you got up next, babe? For your fourth.
I'm actually kind of scared to say this one. And I have to be very clear. I don't think it's whack at all. It's just disappointing. Oh my God, I'm actually scared to say it. Michael Jackson's Invincible album. And I just feel like nobody ever says anything. I feel like we're like programmed in life to just love everything Michael Jackson, and we can't.
That's very true. Yep.
I have no idea, because after Bad, I ain't really fuck with Mike. So
the Invincible album is the one.
Damn,
sorry.
Dangerous?
Not even dangerous.
Fuck with Dangerous like that.
Oh yeah, me and Phil had an argument about this. That's right. Never mind.
So the Invincible album is the one with You Rock My World, and honestly, that was the single off of it, and it was the only memorable track on it. And for Michael Jackson to have like the run of albums and songs and singles and just the larger than life human that he was, that album let me down. It just let me down. It wasn't whack. It was just not Michael Jackson caliber to me. Invincible, yeah. I was disappointed with that one for sure.
You didn't like
Butterfly? Clear, it's not whack. It's just not. Yeah.
Oh, Butterflies was on there. Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah,
that was
Butterflies was dope.
Yeah. I actually like Floetry's version better though, so I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, he just followed the demo. That's what he did. But Porsche, I agree, Porsche. Don't be mad. He's Michael Jackson fan and shut the fuck up. That album is not good.
Like if you ask anyone what their favorite Michael Jackson songs are, even if you say like your 30 favorite, your 50 favorite, it'll be a while until something off of Invincible gets on that list. And that's
right
to me.
Agreed. All right.
I never see anyone talk about it. I never see anyone talk about it ever. So.
All right. Next up, I got the new Black Star album that just dropped.
Oh yeah.
We waited 25 years for it.
Incomplete.
Eddie and Porsche almost locked me out of apartment 5B when we was talking about this. Like I thought Porsche was gonna change the password on the StreamYard account. Like maybe you can't even get in no more. I was getting the album a 3.5, and they was killing me for that. I'm like, I'm just saying it's very good. I get killed on Twitter for saying Master Ace is very good, but yeah, it felt like most didn't want to rhyme. It felt like he ain't even really want to be there. He was just rhyming to just rhyme. None of these Mad Lib beats. I mean, coming off of Bandana, you know what I mean? It's like Mad Lib is the beats he was giving Freddie Gibbs. It's like, yo, I'm expecting like, oh man, if you gave Freddie these beats, I can't wait to hear what you're gonna give Wilson to Lib after 25 years. And again, I can't blame him because they pick what you pick. You know, I know as a producer, you send people beats, they pick what they pick, but just a huge disappointment. And JR, I don't know how you felt about this, but Hot Cocoa solo album. One, I thought it was a dumbass name. Hot Cocoa is a dumbass name. And it just wasn't a good solo album. We've come to know from me asking JR at this podcast that SWV just needs to be a group. Like none of them need to be solo artists. They work better together. So yeah, because I actually was like, all right, Coco should kill this. You know, she can sing. It's gonna be dope. But nope, that just did not come through with that. I did kind of like the first single, Sunshine, but after that, it was a wrap for Hot Coco. Rel, what you got up next?
I got Corruption. That was the double album where it was one side East Coast, one side West Coast. Came out right at the height of when he was just featured on everybody's song. He was on the Pete Rock John. He was, you know what I mean? He was killing verses, and I was looking forward to it. And there's only one song I like on that joint, and it's
on the whole double. I never heard it. I never heard it.
I like We Can Freak It on the West Coast. It was on the West Coast joint, produced by Battle Cat. That's like one of my favorite songs. I love that song, but the rest of that joint is like not memorable at all. Like no replay value. It just was very, very disappointing because he was hot at the time. Like Corrupt was killing everything he was on. Like
what you think the problem was? Beat wise or bar wise?
Yeah. Production, and trying to do a West Coast album and then an East Coast album and put it as a double. It just didn't work. It didn't work. He probably just came out because his album after that, The Streets is that album was way better. He should just came out with a regular album. Like it was during the time when like people really started giving him props for his verses. It's like, yo, Corrupt can spit. You know what I'm saying? And you know, Corrupt was born. He's originally from Philly, but he spent most of his life in Cali. So like, I don't know. Like he should have just stuck to what he was. There's another thing where we like experiment. You know what I'm saying? Like he should have just, I don't know, stuck to what he was, his bag. Like he tried to step out there and it just didn't work. You know what I'm saying? Like We Can Freak It is the best song by far of any of the other songs on there. You know what I'm saying?
Damn. Only one song off a whole double album, that ain't good. Damn. Alright. JR, what you got up next?
I'm gonna say Neo's Libra Scale.
Which one is this? Third album, second album? This
is the fourth. Neo's first three to me is just dope as hell. You know what I mean?
Oh, Vade, you brought up this album before, right? Libra Scale? Because you were saying how like his first two or three were dope, but then you got the one and it was one of the joints and you were just like, nah.
That was one where it got iffy, but that's not when you start doing the dance music stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Red.
Champagne Life was the single on this one, right?
Yeah, Champagne Life and One in a Million, and I was like, okay, when I heard it, and then when I listened to it, I was like, Neo, this shit, no. Then it's always I'm gonna go back to the R&B shit is what they say, and then you don't, cause like Vegas said with Red, he gave us that lazy love shit, but then he went to that Learn to Love You and Forever Now and all that dance shit, and it was like the R&B is where. So, but Libra Scale, nah, ain't do nothing for me. I was like, I only like one song. Shit is terrible. Take that shit somewhere. So, nah.
All right. Babe, what you got up for your last joint? Or is this the last? I think we on 5. What you got up next?
I got Big Pun, Yeah Baby.
Yeah.
A completely different album from what he did with Capital Punishment, and I think it was really off the strength of having a radio hit and being this close to winning a Grammy. I think he said as much. I think that was his goal, to do more radio friendly tracks so he can not only make some money and chart, but win awards and stuff like that. But when you listen to
he was still alive when he made this album, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this wasn't one of those he died and we just gonna grab old verses.
Yeah, it was, the majority of it was done. It was mostly done. and they put it out, and I just remember the first time I heard it, I almost didn't believe it, because it was like, well, how can you have an album like Capital Punishment and there's barely anything that resembles what's most of that album, the skill.
Right.
You know,
I remember that, wasn't a single like that, It's So Hard or whatever?
I kind of rock with that as a single.
Right,
but
right.
then as you went to other songs, it was like, oh, that's all he's trying to do. Is hits. And the other one was the Spanish joint. What's the name of that joint? With Tony Sunshine on it, on the hook.
Oh, yeah, no.
Don't get me
You know what I'm
wrong.
talking about?
I can't. I haven't heard Yeah Baby, and that's one of them albums I probably listened to once or twice and just never went back to it.
You see, the other thing about Pun on that album is that you could tell like his health was deteriorating because his breath control wasn't there. Like it sounded like he was struggling, you know, which is sad to say. But that part too.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, Eddie, what you got up last?
Yo, I'm going Tikal Zero, the prequel.
Ooh, yeah.
This was
What number is
third
this?
album.
Third, okay.
Number 3. So the thing that kind of disappointed me is the What's Happening single with Busta. That joint was a banger to me. Like I love that album, like or that joint. I love that song. Like they had the video when they were in the subway, and like they had like the contact lenses and the blackout contact lenses and all that great stuff. Like that joint was a banger. And he had like 2 other songs I like. One joint with Raekwon, The Turn, and then the After Party with Ghostface Killer. Everything else on that album he could keep. Like seriously, man. Like I think he was going too hard to try to make a radio hit, man. Too much. Like he had this joint with Ludacris called Rodeo. It was just freaking terrible, man. I mean, the hook, the rhyming, just the theme, everything about it was just freaking terrible. Like, I mean, got a joint named Tease, like some dude named Chinky. I don't know, man. It's just not a lot of redeeming qualities at all, man.
Here's the wild part, man. I just feel like RZA, watching this Wu series is just really putting a lot of things in perspective to me, because it seemed like so many of these follow-up Wu albums weren't what we expected them to be, like Outside Ghost. You know, Meth's second album wasn't dope, at least not to me. Dirty's second album, Jizz's, I'm about to name Jizz's, Beneath the Surface, that wasn't it. You know what I'm saying? Immobilarity wasn't it. Like, and I feel like, what's the missing piece? RZA. Like, and I don't know if it's just production, but just kind of it being him being the abbot, being the maestro of everything Wu, because it's obvious they couldn't do it on their own. You know what I mean? You don't make an album like Liquid Swords and then turn around and make Beneath the Surface. You don't make an album like Go for Cuban Links and turn around and make Immobilarity. Like, and kind of like we were talking about Mary. Like, maybe Mary just needs somebody to say, like, you need to go this way, or you need to go. It goes back to the executive producer role. Like, obviously, Ghost could do it. Ghost was like, I don't need RZA. I'll get with Alchemist. I'll get with Max. I'll get with whoever, and make a dope album.
You see, the thing with Meth is, you know, I was gonna say Tikal 2000 as well, but I feel like Tikal 2000, it's a better album. It's just too long, like, and it just had too many skits too long. But I also felt like Tikal 2000 is where Meth should have flipped it. This is where he should have like tried to craft the sound. I don't know what sound he was going with. He was still trying to be grimy, but then he had the D'Angelo song. Then he had the Judgment Day single that sounded like electronic hip-hop, weird shit. Like, I feel like that's the joint where he should have tried to be a star. Since he didn't do it on Tikal, he should have did it on that. But him trying to do it on Tikal Zero was way too late, and he didn't have the formula.
I think the problem is some people don't know their style. Like, that's the thing. I've got friends who are 49 And I'm like, bro, what you want to do with your life? And they're like, I don't know. Like, I have kids who are 12 who say they don't know what to do with their life. People who are 18 graduating don't know what to do with their life. 26 and don't know what they want to do with their life. 38 and don't know what to do with their life. 50 and don't know what to do with their life. You know, and what I mean by do with their life is, I mean, like, what's your passion? What's your thing? You know what I mean? And they don't know. It's like, I just work this job. But I'm like, okay, well, what if you could just not work this job, and what would your dream job be? And all those different age groups don't know. You know what I mean? And I'm sure, like, all these artists sometimes may not know their sound. Like, I don't know if Meth wants to be the grimy dude. Is that the Meth sound? You know what I mean? They?
Well, I told you I've been studying so I could put this episode out. Meth does not know what his sound is.
Exactly.
That album is the worst in his catalog. So there's a spoiler alert. It will be in the dog shit category or whatever the bottom category is. On
It's in the dog shit category.
The album cover is dog shit. The
baby, right?
The baby in the fire as Godzilla. I don't know what the fuck.
Hold on. What album is this? What album? I tapped out after the second album. After the second album, I tapped out of Meth.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I think it's Meth. That might be Meth as a kid or one of his children. I don't know what it is, but
and why is it the prequel?
What
the prequel? Right. It's like this is
the cover.
Yeah.
Bro.
Stop, yo.
I've never seen this album cover a day in my life. But this is what I mean. Like, nobody stopped you. Nobody at the label said Meth. Nobody in your crew said bro. Nobody said, dog, there's a baby Godzilla on your cover. Like, nothing. Nobody wanted to. No. Okay.
You know what makes it worse, especially with that album, and it's when you go through his whole catalog, and don't get me wrong, there's some joints, there's some albums that I'm gonna point out that aren't bad, better than Tikal, to be honest. Features, man. This, what we were saying before about can Meth hold the album down by itself? No. Because if you go through his catalog, Street Life, and this other dude, I don't know what his name is, Hands On, some shit like that.
Yeah.
Some pause-worthy shit. They're all over Meth's album. They might as well be a group. Right. Like each album. But to Cal Zero, to Eddie's point, is the worst because it's so unfocused. You don't know what Meth is trying. It's just like, well, what were you going for? Like, what does the prequel mean? Like, there's nothing about it. It's just like he just did an album. So
right. It's a lot of people need directions, man. They need. I think RZA just really is proving his worth. Because I mean, outside Ghostface, nobody really had a successful second album or really a great career after their debut album. You know what I mean? If you really think about it, like, I don't even know if I would say Ray had a great career. Like, I don't know what I would grade his career. You've got a classic with Cuban Links. Vague, you listen to everything, so I don't know if you would count those mixtapes and all the Lex Diamond story. I don't know what's a mixtape, what's an album, but at the end of the day, I can't sit back and say Ray, in my opinion, that Ray has had a very successful rap career. Like that, I look at his discography as a body of work, and I'm like, yo, he knocked it the fuck out the park. His career is weird because Ghost has had the great solo career, hands down. Right. I think ODB might have had it if he would have lived longer because for some reason he just hits. But what Ray is weird because Immobilarity is his whack album. The other albums are good. Like all the Lex Diamonds, all them joints are good. Okay. But the only time he got that Cuban Link feeling and attention was when he did Part 2. Right. And after that, nobody paid attention to the other albums that came after that. And they were good. But like if like Ray stopped rhyming right now, 5 mic scale, what are you giving his career? Like, I give him a 4. Okay. Immobilarity is
his worst album, especially because of lyrically, he wasn't even good on that album. But if you were to do a best of and say you never heard anything but Cuban Link 1 and 2 and maybe some of Immobilarity, and you heard joints from the other ones, you would say to yourself, yo, The Watch, what the fuck album is that on? That shit crazy with him and Ghost. Right. Well, that's the one Lex Diamond. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, The Watch ended up on that?
Yeah, that's on there.
I always thought that was a Ghost joint.
Nah, Ghost got the memorable verse on there.
Yeah, I always thought that. I thought that was supposed to be on whatever Ghost album got that didn't get all the sample clearance. Like one of them Ghost albums after Supreme Clientele, the third one, because Flowers was supposed to be on that joint.
About Bulletproof Wallets.
Yeah, Bulletproof Wallets. A lot of that has sampling clearance issues.
Nah, the Watch is. There's a song that I know what you're talking about, but it's not The Watch. The Watch
okay.
They make a song about their watch missing and shit.
Oh, okay. Nah, I'm thinking about the joint that had the Barry White drums. It's just all over that.
Yeah, that's the different joint.
Yeah, you don't get no Ghost. You don't get no airplay. That shit was hard.
Right.
All right. But just like that, when you look at these incredible MCs, and none of them really had. I mean, I don't know what I give Jizz's. And again, I'm bad at this because I'll tap out after a while. After I'm not feeling your stuff like that, I'll tap out. That's why I'm like, what meth album is that? Like after the second one, I was like, okay, this nigga is not gonna make what I want to make, and I'm not gonna keep going back. Same thing with Jizz.
Jizz has some dope albums up there. Yeah.
Well, I think what my thing is just your ability. Jizz had the ability to make Liquid Swords, which is one of the greatest albums, in my opinion, ever. To me, nothing came close to Liquid Swords. So it's like you had the ability to make that. Like this ain't like, I don't think this was like it was a fluke that Jizz made that. No, the nigga's fucking nice. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think it was a fluke. So again, it's just I don't think a lot of artists know what direction they want to go, or know, like you said, Eddie, what's their sound. So they're just constantly poking through life, trying to find what fits. You know what I mean? And you end up with a spotty discography sometimes because you don't know your sound. Whereas the MOP knew they sound. We yell, we're fucking loud, we rob people, and we like hard ass beats. That's it. That's our sound. We're never gonna try to get with Scott Storch. We're not gonna try to get with Pharrell. This is our sound. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think Raekwon kind of set itself up by having Ghost so prominent in his debut album? Because I feel like if you try to do a true solo album, which he did, and you know there could be many reasons why that album was whack, but it's still not going to have that feeling because now you're only getting Ray, and the album that you loved was Ray and Ghost. If that makes sense.
Not maybe, but here's the thing. We were just talking about on the timeline with Incarcerated Scarfaces, and my man was like, yo, I'm glad Ray went Dolo on this. And I was like, yo, I was just thinking the same thing. Like, I'm glad Ghost wasn't on this, and that Incarcerated Scarfaces is all Ray. You know what I mean? So I feel you, but I think Ray has the ability to carry, to me, an album. You know what I mean? Like, Incarcerated Scarfaces is crazy. But again, it's crazy watching the Wu joint where Jizz is like, yo, I want all the Klansmen on the album. He's hell bent. Like, no, I'm not turning this album without my brothers on the album. Right? You know, so it just seemed like that was the vibe of the Wu-Tang. It was like, yo, we all come together and we all kind of do this. But again, you know,
isn't Ray all over Iron Man?
Yeah,
I don't. Is he on Iron Man as much as Ghost is on Cuban Links? Like, I don't know if it's an equal thing. Like, I think Ray. I know Ray got a solo joint on there. Is it 260? I think Ray is on it, but I don't think he's on it as much as he's on as Ghost is on his joint. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, bet. Porsche. What joints you? I know we just list down whatever you got left. You got anything else left for us, P?
Let me see. Nah, you guys mentioned everything. I had Immobilarity. I had Mary J's Love and Life. Nah, I'm good.
All right. Your boy's the Mennonite. I respect that.
Yeah.
The thing that made me think about this show was the BCC album For the People, their Posse album, because I always tell people I love Boot Camp Click more than Wu at the time. Like, if I had to pick, I love Boot Camp Click, and we never got, like with the Wu, we got the group album first, they got all the solos. We never got that. It was the flip for Boot Camp. We got all the solos. So I was so hyped for this for the people. Yo, without the Beat Miners, this album was horrible. I got Grand Poopa's second album, 2000. Just crazy disappointed in that. Like, this nigga was still singing. Like, he got one damn song where he sings like la la la. La la means I love you. Like, he literally is like,
Hey.
there was a girl. And I'm like, dog,
Very
he really
spe-
fucking
Very
Yeah,
special.
very
Yo, he sang for the first 2 minutes of that song. Yo, that shit is hilarious.
He's like
Yeah.
la 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 means it's Grand Poo. Like spark the L, son. Spark the L.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, like if you don't stop fucking singing, my nigga. LL's Walking with a Panther. I got the second Prime album. I blame that on Ant-Man Wonder because that first Prime with Adrian Young, you can't go wrong with sampling him. But the second one didn't have it. Jizzle Beneath the Surface. Black Sheep's second album, Nonfiction. LONS's second album, Time. Very after that first LONS, Future Without a Past, I was hyped for the second joint. And yeah, what's next was all we got, and that was about it. Bro, you got anything else left? Oh, I'm sorry. I got Roots Phrenology, Tribes, Beats, Rhymes, and Life, and Deck's Uncontrollable Substances. And of course, I feel so sorry for Deck after this Wu-Tang show. I'm just like, damn, nobody signed him. Nigga, Pot took your verse off. Like, nigga, kid, like the flood. Like, there's just nothing went right for Deck. And it's just like, God damn. Like, I just felt horrible for this dude. Like, damn, man. I don't know what it is. Bro, you got any joints left? Huh?
I was gonna say about Deck, like his career is doing alright right now with all that Czarface stuff, man. Like,
I mean, yeah, but it's like Deck is like top 5 ever in setting off songs. Like in 50 years of hip hop. Like he may be number fucking 1. You know what I mean? So you know, he always comes through in the clutch, and it was just like for it to be like, yo, we got the Razor Sharp deal. Yo, we signing Cat and Ghost and Deck like, nigga, like I'm right here, nigga. Do you not see me? Like, yo, I'm right here. And so it just felt sorry hearing that. And then it's like, oh damn, then Pop took your verse off, or he kept meth, but he kicked you to the curb. It's like, damn, like that was just like a stepchild the whole time, man. And I'm like, damn, I feel sorry for the boy. So again, not saying he didn't have a good career, but you know, again, it's like an NBA player. If you are a number 1, I felt like all the artists in the Wu could have been number 1 draft picks in the NBA. If we look at like who, you know what I mean? And when you have a number 1 draft pick like Meth, you don't want to have a good career. You want to have a great, stellar career. You know, if you are the number 1 draft pick, you want a Tim Duncan career. You want an Allen Iverson career. You want a Jason Kidd career. You know, now if you're a mid first round pick, a good career is good. Rajon Rondo got drafted at 18. I felt like he had a very good career. That's good for an 18 when you're drafted 18. But when you're drafted number 1, and everybody in the Wu was number 1 draft picks to me. We are talking about a crew, in my opinion, where everybody was fucking nice. I don't know if I want a good career. Like, if I'm the number 1 draft pick, I want a great career. I want a 4-mic Hall of Fame. I changed the fucking game. I changed this whole franchise's hopes. I put a whole city on my back and took us to the promised land career, not just a good career. And I felt like that just, I mean, between the floods and just everything, just didn't do it for him, man. You know, these goddamn floods. Bro, you got anything else left, man?
Yeah, I got LL 14 shots to the dome.
God damn. Just the album cover with that was bad. What the fuck kind of hat was he wearing?
A pyramid.
That album hurt.
I do love Backseat of My G. I do love Backseat.
I like Backseat, Pink Cookies, and the remix. Yeah, and there's maybe one other song, maybe. But yeah, that was another album he had to bounce back from after. Bouncing back from what was before Mama Said Knock You Out. It was Walk Like a Panther, right? 14, Walking with a Panther.
I think Marley was just on his last leg. Like Marley was on his last. Marley was in at his last shining joint was Mama Said Knock You Out. They tried to come back with the magic. I just don't think Marley really had anything left.
I think the game had passed him by that point. You know what I'm saying? And so then he had to come back with Mr. Smith to bounce back from that. So yeah, 14 shots. Dogfather from Snoop.
Yeah.
Man, that was rough. That was rough, man. And you know, this is coming off classic. You know what I'm saying? This is coming off a classic. You know what I'm saying? And man, Dogfather was another one where I listened to it then and never listened to it again. You know what I'm saying? Like I had there's nothing memorable, nothing memorable about that album. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, yeah, it's just bad, man. Damn, I had one more. I had a good one. Hold on. Oh, so this, you know, my older cousin was a huge Big Daddy Kane fan, and when Prince of Darkness came out, like he was like a basket case, bro. Like I ain't never seen nobody else. Like he went through it, bro. Like he went through it. Like he was like, what the fuck? Like he went through it, and I just watched it. Like it was like watching a movie, yo. Like he just lost it. So like, you know, that's like a wild card. The disappointment was crazy with that drum, man. So that was the last three I had.
All right, Gerald, you got anything left?
I just got one more, and it's her. Back of my mind. Very disappointing. Like
Second album?
No, this is. I don't know what to call it, because then they said her first one was a mixtape. Then she came out with the other one was a mixtape. I don't know. This is just her third body of work. Let's just say that.
Yo, I hate when people do that shit.
I hate
Conway
that.
Conway was like, this is my first album. I'm like, nigga, I done brought like 8 albums. Now you talking about this your first fucking album, nigga. Like I done got Rejects too. I got Gold. I got Everybody's Food. Like, nigga, these are albums. What are you talking about? But yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, back of my mind. It wasn't. I only like one song on that album. It didn't do nothing to me. For me, I was like, it's good that she's doing Broadway and doing plays or whatever. But this was not good to me. The two before that, the debut joint was dope. I used to love her. Used to know her was dope. But back on my mind, that joint was not good to me. So it was very disappointing. So yeah, that's my last one.
Veg, you got any more left real quick?
Yeah, I got Black Moon, Warzone.
I think me and Walt are the only two people who like that album. I think it's just me
so,
and Walt. We are.
I was like, who the fuck is this? This isn't the album. This isn't the group. I knew.
Now the two turntables and the mic I thought was horrible. Like that was just horrible.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, these niggas just corny now. So
yo, like when that chord's like 2 turntables and the mic, what? And I was like, oh, this is horrible. But
right.
Yeah.
Like they regressed. You know what I'm saying? As a group. 50 Cent, The Massacre.
Absolutely.
Oh, I know some people like
that was the third album, right?
That's the second album.
The second one.
Right. Where he basically did the same album cover, but anime BBL pumped up version, whatever the fuck that was.
I did fuck with Ski Mask Way. Ski Mask Way was my shit on that.
That was hot.
That was
hard.
Yeah, it was a couple of joints on there, but there was also Candy Shop.
Yeah, he took Ja Rule's style.
Right.
I've never seen anybody rogue a nigga like that. Like this nigga really was like Rogue and X-Men, like defeated you and then took your style away from you and used it. Like I've never seen that shit. Like you really got rogued out here.
Right. Successfully too. Yeah.
Right. Like successfully I made fun of you for singing, then I took your style and now I'm singing and it's successful now. Like
right.
Craziest thing ever. Nigga got rogued.
And that's funny too, because that's when Ja Rule came out with the Blood in My Eye, so he changed his style to go harder.
That was with the New York joint, the New York with Kiss joint.
No, that was
Rule. Nah, that was when he came out with Clap Back.
Clap Back.
Yeah.
Oh, Clap Back. Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna Clap Back.
Oh man! He was trying to do it. You getting bodied by a singing nigga, but it didn't quite hit the way Drake did. He wanted to hit there, and you're getting bodied by a singing nigga, but clap back, nigga. Nobody's clapping. Nobody's busting a gun to this joint. I promise you, man. Eddie, you got any more joints left?
Yeah, man. I got the Cannabis debut album. We talked about it before.
How did I forget that shit?
Man, like, people just don't understand. Like, there was just so much hype around Cannabis, like his freestyles, his guest spots, like the Beast from the East joint. I mean, all of that.
Hey, JR, cut it out, man. Cut it out.
Listen,
cut the fuck out. Every time you bring up Cannabis, this nigga JR, because he be talking about when I was arguing that Cannabis LL shit, man.
I ain't saying that. You get serious, man. We know you get serious, man. Yeah. When niggas had the gift of Pac and fucking Omar with the locker, niggas like it's gonna be Rel on Kill Timeline on Monday morning. Like, yeah.
So what else I got? I got Nas I Am, you know, coming from the leak, right? The leak version of I Am was just so much doper. And it wasn't like I Am was completely whack. It was just underwhelming. It was underwhelming. The Blackout 2 did not get the magic back, you guys. Did not. Like, Blackout 1 was dope. Blackout 2 was like, they could have kept that shit. Sorry. Helter Skelter Magnum Force. That was disappointing, man. Because I liked their debut album. I really did, man. And True Magic by Mos Def. Like, dude wasn't even trying on that album. Like, it didn't even have a cover, did it? Yeah. It had like a clear jewel case.
He was going with that Kanye style. What was that shit? Yeezus? So what was the Kanye joint that didn't even have a cover?
It was Yeezus.
Yeah, he did it first, man, but it was just bad, man. Like, just he didn't know if he wanted to sing or rap or what, man. It was just not it.
People still trying to find their styles, man. Gerald, let them know where they can get at you, man. What you got cooking up out there?
R&B Reps, yo. The new episode is gonna be out. We did with Rap Lover. We did Loose Ends, Look How Long, the last album that they did, and it was a dope episode. Like, it's very informative. Like, rap went in on this one, so check that one out. R&B Reps on Instagram, JR Girl the Soul on Twitter, Instagram, R&B Reps on Instagram as well.
So you just not even. So Rel, he don't want no points off the album because he don't even claim executive producer this new Rel Treasury album. It's cool.
Because y'all bullshitting. That's why.
It's cool. When we do the distributed breakdown, don't say nothing about why you ain't getting no fucking money every month.
I haven't even heard anything yet. Y'all haven't even said anything yet.
Yo, you don't even claim that shit. We gave you the opportunity. That was a little trick we had. We gonna let's see if he gonna name shit. You ain't naming shit. Vay, where can they get at you, good brother?
All right, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Vegas World INC, and check out my podcast, a weekly hip hop news podcast, Hip Hop Now podcast, wherever you get your podcast.
Talk a little bit about the Wu series you've been doing too.
Okay, so I've been reviewing the final season 6 and 3 of Wu-Tang and American Saga. I've been bringing on guests to talk about themselves as Wu fans, as fans of the series, and we also review the latest episode. The latest episode I have up at right now is featuring Eddie. We're reviewing the Liquid Swords episode with Jizza. Apparently people like me talking about the Inspector Deck dude because he's so fucking annoying to me. I just like, get this Boldo ass nigga out of here. Like, what is he doing, man? Like, am I the only one? Like, I want to hit Inspector Deck up and just say, yo, look at this nigga making you look bad. But, yeah, no, it's really dope to hear from other hip-hop heads about why they like the Wu, what they think about the show. So it's kind of like quasi-interview, but also sharing our thoughts about the Wu in each episode, and we only got 2 episodes left. So maybe for the final episode, I might bring a couple of folk back and just do a big round table about it. But we'll see.
Yo, the crazy thing is, where's Dave East this whole season? Was he not casted? Like, he's been like barely in one ep.
I don't even understand it. It's like, is it a budget thing? Is it a timing thing? Because
I'm like, he's barely in anything. Like, it's like he's like in one clip, like saying something about Meth album, and then that's it.
He was in the tour episode, but everything else was like a feature.
Right.
So yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, no doubt. Eddie, where can they get at you, good brother?
Yeah, man. Twitter at EddieD80, Instagram at Freedstyles. Yeah, and like Vegas said, man, I was on his episode of that Wu podcast. Yo, definitely enjoyed it. Fun times, man. Go check that out.
Porsche, where can they get at you?
On Twitter at ShareShayLa Porsche. I don't have a blue check, so I don't know if my account's gonna get or whatnot, but follow me while you can.
God, my little sister. Well, where can they get at you, good brother?
Yo, JVent215 on Twitter, Uptown Rel 215 on Instagram. Check out my single on Jarrell215.bandcamp.com. That's it.
All right, no doubt. You already know it's me, Kill889, Twitter, IG. It's gonna be a dope year. You know, I'm looking forward to it. I'm working on 13 projects this year. I'm packed out. We are getting it in. Naomi wants to go to Howard. Howard costs $54,000 a year. Nigga, I am selling crack like Saint. I'm selling beats like Saint is selling crack on fucking Snowfall. So don't that nigga ask me for no free goddamn beats. I better know somebody in the damn Versor's office at Howard. We could do connect. We could make something happen. But the goal is, baby girl want to go to Howard. That's what
I heard that.
Y'all better find somebody at Howard. I'll do your album if your fucking cousin is in the scholarship office. Do some shit. Work something out. But nigga, you know, come see.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Eddie, here you go. It is not today's price. So let's get it.
So she fell in love with Howard. She fell in love with Howard.
She literally went on a campus like whatever and left like, that's my dorm. That's gonna be my building. Like that nigga was like, I'm manifesting shit. She's like, I'm claiming things. And I was like, there you go. Claim what you want. You know what I mean? So. You know, it's funny because everybody's like, oh, I thought you would have wanted to go to Morgan. I'm like, look, I want her to wherever God wants her to go is where she's going to end up. Like, I'm not that parent that's like, oh, yeah, I went to Morgan, you go to Morgan, I did 889 and you do 8. Nigga, live your life. Do wherever you want to go, just go and be happy. That's all the fuck I want. I know too many people who had to live their life like that. Like, they had to literally follow the footsteps verbatim of whatever their parents did, and they hated that shit. So, you know, that's the last thing I want to make anybody. Like, Morgan was great for me. May not be great for Naomi. May not have been great for somebody else, you know? So, yeah, but she loved it. Like, was in the bookstore, wanted to buy shit. I'm like, nigga, why don't we wait till you get accepted first? Like, you fuck around and be in fucking Temple wearing all this Howard shit. So just pump your brakes. But, yeah, she loved it. So, all that to say, niggas, get at me, for real. All right, y'all. I'll check y'all next week, man.